Happy Saturday, and for the third time, welcome to the Sci-Fi Center Presents. This time, it's for the Saturday Overnight Live show. It's been a long day. Lots of stuff went on today. Obviously, we had our Man of Steel charity stream. When we turned around about a half hour after that, and we had another charity stream. For the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. I see numbers all over the board already. Let's see. Anthony Manzano, I was able to find your Dracula book. That's the one you were looking for. If that was, I had a lot of orders in, but yes, I was able to find all of the Dracula books. So I'll be getting with you offline about that one. Brad hates awesome. I'm just waiting for Brad in right now because right now I'm going to be running back and forth because I'm hosting a Rocky Horror Picture Show reunion right around the corner. So as soon as Brad gets there, so you guys can take all this scary movie text to him. I'm waiting. He has a link ready to go in. Just making sure that he hold on because I want to wait till he gets in before I highlight this news. Make sure he has. He doesn't need the link. He's already part of the show. So hold on. Copy. He may be traumatized though after what you guys put him through this afternoon. So I could. he may have just quit the show. No, the only one I was able to find so far is the Dracula one. I picked up some today, and then I got some more he's going to bring by because they're already on issue 6 already, so I'll have all those. I have not seen the pictures he sent, not yet. But yeah, Anthony, the only one I have right now is the Dracula series. I have that in completion. All right, let's see. All right, so our topics tonight, as soon as my co-host gets here, will get launched, and like I said, I got the bolt. But our topics tonight are, as the thumbnails have shown you there, are going to be, we're going to talk Last Airbender. In fact, that's going to be up first as soon as Brad gets in, because that's his show, and he's watched a couple of them, so there'll be some spoiler talk on that one. We are going to talk, our musical topic is Stone Temple Pilots' Purple, which is their second album and probably their best album. Our comic book turning point story, as I've already previewed, is going to be DC, The New Frontier. I won't go into details and spoilers why you need to get this, but I will give you some reasons why you need to pick it up, and I'll pull up some of the stuff as soon as he gets there. Hold on. Allergies are getting to me right now. All right, so earlier today, I was going to wait until here he is right here. There we go. What's going on, Bradley?
Yeah, sorry, I was a little bit behind getting on.
That's okay. I thought you were in anguish because of what happened just shortly after we went off the air.
What happened? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Life just went on.
It went on to $8,000 is what it went on to. We reached the goal, the mythical goal that I set for us.
Who was the sick bastard who had $650 to throw down for this?
I don't know who it might be, but I know he went under Brain Brad is his hashtag.
Oh, so he's trying to tell me I'm responsible for this.
You're responsible for people being helped, Brad. This money's going to a good cause.
Except everybody being helped except me, apparently.
Well, we're okay. We don't need it right now. Not yet. I mean, I don't know what these movies will have an effect on you, but we did it, guys. We reached 8,000. We are 8,000 into our adjusted goal of $10,000. Remember, I kept you see the two circles up there. The original goal was $5,000. We blew that out of the water, and now we're headed towards twice that much. So everybody who's contributed, whether anonymously or outright or shared the event, every one of you guys is part of this. So I wanted to get the show started off with that. Like I said, I got to step away for a little bit. So Brad, it's Airbender time. Say hi to the chat. The ones who I've already said hi to most of them, but say hi to the chat, and then it's all on you, Airbender. And I'm going to put the spoiler. Let everybody know it's spoiler because you're going to be talking spoilers.
Okay. So let me go ahead and hit the chat, guys. Brad hates awesome. Oh, William, you'll love this. Brad, all 5 scary movies combined made $896.5 million.
I can't dispute his monetary success. I just wasn't into it. So, but.
Yeah, which means that Man of Steel and BVS between them made twice as much as that. So there you go.
I was gonna leave that out. Okay, all right, guys. I'm gonna step away for a bit, and Brad's gonna take over, and I'll be right back.
Okay, George, I have a dream. Tom was a dream. George, to have. Oh yeah, that's a line for the third masterpiece in that horrible series. I concur with Chappie about Scary Movie 3 or 8 Mile stuff and Leslie. God, what was in the air back when this series was going that people fell in love with it somehow? I get Brad. Oh, the opposite day, clearly, when you assigned me that title. Anthony asks, so were you able to find the other books? I texted you, William, the Enfield Gang Massacre and Like and Fallout Rise. I'll ask William about that when he comes back. Let's see. Since you own a comic book store, I see Rancho stuff started getting more popular, especially vampires. Yeah. I'll bring that back up when William comes back. Yeah. Quoting that terrible, horrible, no good, really bad movie we watched earlier, and not Man of Steel. That's a fantastic movie. That is the best, in my opinion, the best solo Superman movie ever made. And then we followed it up with Scary Movie. I don't even know what kind of analogy I can create for going from something that awesome to that horrible. But it's not good. Well, I'm glad everybody feels that way, and they blame me for it. I want to know who donated that last bit of money that got us $1,000. I want you to identify yourself in the chat tonight, and if possible, can you also give your address and location and a full identity so I can find you and let's say discuss this. Let's see. Brad, question how they portrayed Azul in live action was very immature and petulant. She was the name. Okay, yes, I'll go ahead and get in the talk about Avatar. Because that's of course that is the new Netflix series that just dropped on Thursday. It's an adaptation of the popular Netflix anime-inspired series Avatar: Last Airbender. About halfway through it right now. I'm probably gonna go ahead and finish it up over tonight and tomorrow. But I think it's great. I'm really loving what they've done with it, and they have tweaked aspects of it because that's what you got to do when you're going from the source material to live action, especially when you're going from animation to live action. But what they've done, they've really taken a lot of really interesting new, no pun intended, elements in the show. But they've also really adhered to the essence of what made Avatar great in the first place. I mean, they've got the dichotomy of Aang as the up and coming protagonist, the Avatar, who has to master all the elements and bring balance to the world and end the Fire Nation's conquest of the Four Nations. They've really nailed that. His relationship with Katara and Sokka, and of course Zuko, Prince Zuko, who of course starts out as kind of an antagonist. He's in pursuit of Aang. He has to capture him to gain entry back to the Fire Nation, and gain his father's respect back. His father, Lord Ozai. So far, I think it's great. I again the performances are pretty solid across the board. The bending action is fantastic. It's phenomenal. The production values, they clearly spent some money on the show. They really put all the resources they could into it. The scope and scale of things, like Omashu, the city Omashu, showing what they've done with the water tribe settings and everything. They've really brought the show to life. They have really brought Avatar to life in live action. And I hate to bring it back to the 2010 movie, but you kind of have to in this because it's the next live action adaptation of Avatar, but also the fact that The Last Airbender was so bad that this is this is the redemption for it in live action. And they've really done, I think, a really phenomenal job with it. What else can I say? As far as some of the highlights of it so far, I would say I'm really enjoying the kid they have playing Aang, Gordon Cormier. He's really nailing Aang. I think the performances across the board are pretty solid. This show is really well cast. This show's the only thing, and this is as far as the cast, and this is more of like going into William has talked about fan casting being just not it's you don't want to predicate it on that, so it slightly relates to that, but Park Hyung Lee, who of course plays Uncle Iroh on it. He's doing great. He's great in it. He's fantastic as Iroh. But I will say, for the longest time, I was fan casting Sammo Hung for Uncle Iroh. I thought he would have been so perfect as Uncle Iroh. So it's like sometimes you just kind of lament that your fan casting doesn't happen, because he would have I think pretty well nailed it. He's only Sammo hasn't done as much stateside as a lot of those other like Hong Kong contemporaries like Jackie Chan and Donnie Yen and Jet Li, Michelle Yeoh. I mean, he had the TV show Martial Law, which is awesome. In the '90s, he's done a few stateside movies, so he's mostly kind of stayed in Hong Kong. But I think he would have really done. Again, all respect to Park Hyung Lee. He was really embodying Uncle Iroh very well. But again, that's like part of my fan casting. It's like what could have been, but it is what it is. Spider-Man saying yes, Sammo Hung in the house. No. Come on, man. Don't you think you could have made a great Uncle Iroh? I think. But putting that aside, the show is really, really sticking the landing. It's really a great start. And as Aaron alluded to the other night, again, it's tackling it. Trying to take that comment down. It's tackling it's been what's the best way to put this? It's tackling somewhat more intense angles on some of the elements of the story. Again, no pun intended. Like I will, we talked about. Aaron mentioned they actually show, the Airbender genocide in the show. That's not depicted on the animated show. They actually show that here, which again, spoiler alert. There is a reason why it's called Avatar: The Last Airbender, and also with what was it? I think it was Anthony who wrote that comment. Yeah, Anthony Azula is also portrayed as there are aspects of her portrayal so far that's showing her. I'm enjoying that part of it because it's showing her as a little bit. One thing I always loved about Avatar is that it never lost sight of the fact that its protagonists are kids and adolescents. And this show is the new show is still doing that, but it's also doing it in some different ways. And one of them is with Azula, where she's very stoic. She's very much a soldier. Kind of conqueror kind of mindset on Avatar up until the end, when she kind of loses her mind. But she on the Netflix Avatar, they're kind of emphasizing a lot more of her envy and a lot more her bitterness toward her brother Zuko, and that's something I think is real nice addition to it. Maybe that's been a little bit of a slightly divisive take, but I really like that so far. So overall, great start with Netflix's Avatar. Cannot wait to hear the news. It's doing really well on Netflix by all accounts, so can't wait to see hear the news that they more Netflix Avatar. And by the way, this is also something William could probably speak to. Because I was thinking about this the other night, but there was actually, of course, we got the Netflix Avatar series that's going on right now, but also the original creators of the show, and they were part of the Netflix show originally. Then they stepped away. They cited some kind of creative split behind the scenes, although they are still credited on as writers on 2 of the episodes, and they even showed up to the premiere. So I guess whatever rift there was there, it was healed there. But when they left the show, they went back to Nickelodeon. They founded Avatar Studios. So there are multiple with Avatar Studios. There are multiple animated shows, projects, things like that within the Avatar franchise coming up. There's an animated movie coming up next year, which of course that's going to be continuing from the mainline show. It's going to be showing all the Avatar characters. Was a little bit older, more as teenagers, kind of take place between Avatar and Legend of Korra, it seems to me. But obviously, it's not going to be connected to the Netflix Avatar. It's going to be connected to the Nickelodeon Avatar. So there's another that also, even though William's not a fan of not really enamored with Avatar the way that Aaron and myself and even Droga now are. Yeah, but that also speaks to your point about talking about like having like multiple different iterations of the IP on the marketplace at any given time. Which of course we've expressed our frustration with, that the confusion or the non-competition mindset hovering over DC. But now they're doing this with Avatar. It's against the Netflix Avatar, the Avatar Studios Avatar. That's a continuation of Nickelodeon Avatar. There's it's pretty well explained how what the demarcation is of where each of them fits within the larger franchise, and nobody's expressing any confusion about it.
Godzilla monsters that are about to be released within 6 months of each other. Nobody's confusing -1 with
and that's this month coming up.
So that excuse is just dumb, so
it's weird, and because we're seeing, but I thought about that when after Netflix Avatar hit Netflix, and remembered, they've also got, with Avatar Studios, they've got multiple projects in the works that are not connected to the Netflix version of the IP. But again, it's going to what you're saying. It's like they have, they're going where the money is, in multiple different ways. It's like the money. It's if there's money to, if they can commercially gain from the Netflix one, and they've clearly decided they're going to go forward with that. If they can do the same with continuing the Nickelodeon one, they're clearly going to do that, and they have decided they are not going to step on each other's toes. They've said, we can flesh out the IP, flesh out the universe, and make a pretty penny doing it without undermining either of the different Avatar properties. So that thought crossed my mind as it relates to the talk we've had about DC recently. So, but that's what they're doing with Avatar. But going back to the Netflix show, overall, really, really loving it so far. So really looking forward to hearing more about, where they're going to take this on Netflix from here, and hopefully hearing some news about, we're also going to get into Legend of Korra. We're going to adapt Legend of Korra for Netflix, which of course that's a sequel show to Avatar: The Last Airbender. So anybody is an Avatar fan, or who's maybe more of a casual getting into it, or kind of thinking about taking the plunge with a Netflix show, I say go for it. Really loving it. There you go. There's my quick little thoughts on Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender. Let's see. Anthony asks, Brad, were there certain actors you felt were out of place or hamming it up because some people say the actor that was playing Boomy was too... King Boomy, he's... I don't know. I don't think I don't think I'm with them on that one, because if you're familiar with King Boomy's role on the Nickelodeon show, he is a very lighthearted, kind of over the top character. He's sort of like he has a personality and appearance kind of akin to Doc Brown from Back to the Future. So I don't think they've gone overboard with him. I don't know, I just didn't get that sense with King Boomy. I thought he was was pretty well done, and so I don't think I could. I don't think I'm there with them on that. Unfortunately, I'm liking Boomy on Netflix's Avatar. Brad got the name Scar. yeah. I guess we could look at it that way. No, Brad's no. I am not the scary movie. I'm the scary movie hating enthusiast. So he was in Walker Texas. Yeah, no. See, okay, no. Samo, he wasn't on Walker Texas Ranger. He was on Martial Law. And they did a crossover between Martial Law and Walker Texas Ranger. So that's how we got to be on, the meet up with Chuck Norris when they did the crossover between Martial Law and Martial Law was cool because it has the kind of it had Arsenio Hall on there too. It had Kelly Hu, and of course Samo coming from Hong Kong. So it came out of the same year as Rush Hour. So it had a similar kind of cultural sort of melting pot, fish out of water comedy with kung fu formula to it as a Rush Hour. So there's something kind of in the air right then in 97, 98. And they had the same thing with Drive with Mark Dacascos and Kadeem Artisan. It was right that turn of the century there, that 97, 98 period. They had this kind of there's something in the air about like having a martial arts buddy comedy with black and Asian heroes teaming up, and they really nailed it with Drive and Rush Hour and Martial Law. But the crossover with Walker Texas Ranger, that's where Samo got to meet Chuck Norris. Let's see. The build-up is so much better than the movie, and we'll interrupt his rants on the build-up. Is that about Scary Movie Man? Not quite sure what you're getting at. Never seen Avatar, but I have. Yeah, Sammo. Oh yeah, Sammo's a legend. All the way back to Enter the Dragon. He's of course, again, if you're a fan of Hong Kong movies at all, Sammo is like he's legit. He's one of the titans of it. I think in more recent years, a lot of Western audiences have come to know him through things like Sha Po Lang and Ip Man 2. So yeah, Sammo. I got nothing but praise for Sammo. He's a legend. Who else we got in the comments? Some Brad, if I send you a link to a video in the chat, can you play? It's only 4 seconds long. I'm sure it's scary movie related, so okay, if you must. Brad showing this. Well, I think I just pulled up his comments a minute ago. Let's see. Martial Law is a spinoff of Nashbury. Yeah. It's all in fun, Brad. Yeah, fun for you guys. Misery for me. Question, Brad. Did you see my? No, I don't think I did. Let me look. Let me see if I can see what you're talking about here, Iggy. Oh, was it about Rachel Brosnahan and some of that art for? Yeah, again, we can only comment so far on this movie is with just the cast saying, "Oh yeah, we think the script's great and we're really looking forward to making it." I mean, it's it is what it is. And like I said during the mail, I was asked like, "Am I looking forward to Superman Legacy?" I'll just reiterate. Look, what we've had to go through these past few years. I mean, just having the strife of getting the ZSJL released and just what the studio. I mean, just how much behind the scenes damage they did. They fractured their JL cast. They fractured the story they were building up to that would have been over by now had they not done it. And they could have rebooted naturally with no baggage, had they not done that. The Cavill comeback that was then undercut, the, making Ben Affleck so miserable he decided to jump ship and be shoving Zack Snyder out under what can charitably be called sordid circumstances. It makes it really, really, really hard for me to get excited for this with all of that in the back of my mind.
It's easy for me. It's just like for me to say I just don't have the energy for another marathon that's going to go to nowhere. I don't believe it's going to go anywhere. It just comes down to that. I just don't believe that this is going to come to any type of a conclusion. I believe that we're going to get Superman Legacy. It's going to make the money it makes, but then this company is going to be sold or merged with somebody else that may have a new idea. Until I know who that person is and whether they are going to, whether they're going to do what everyone who takes over a company does, which is make their impart their vision on it. Then why am I've already been there before.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've said before, I had a similar thing with the Batman for the longest time, where how it went from being Ben Affleck's the Batman to being Matt Reeves the Batman. And I'm not putting this on Matt Reeves because he just took the job and that was offered to him. But again, the circumstances of it, the fact that Ben Affleck was put through, what the cast and everybody was put through behind the scenes that made Ben Affleck feel he needed to step away, and because he began the role with so much enthusiasm, so much passion. His Batman script, by all accounts, is fantastic, one of the best ever written for a Batman script. And with all that in mind, I mean, and what was going on with the Snyder Cut at the time, I mean, it just made it hard for me to develop excitement for the Batman. And it got to a point where, after the Snyder Cut was greenlit, and then we got the first DC Fandom and how much they were playing up the idea of the multiverse and Elseworlds, and we found a way we can allow all these things to coexist and have all these parallel things going on that people can really get into that don't, and we can position it in a way where all of this is whatever brand of DC fan you are. It's like you have something that is specifically tailored to you, and you could even have multiple things that are specifically tailored to you. As I eventually found out with Superman and Lois, by that point, it's like, okay, I was down. I was ready for the Batman. The first trailer was fantastic. That GIF of a Batman just beating the hell out of that gang leader. I probably played that 2,000 times over and over until before the movie came out. So by that point I was down. I was ready to set all that baggage aside. And then 4 days after Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out, we get that idiotic Ann Sarnoff interview that comes out and just takes just pops that balloon. And so I had to go back to compartmentalizing all that and leave it to the Batman. And all things considered, I think I actually managed to do that pretty well. The Batman, it's a very good Batman movie. It's fantastic. But again, it's like how much I had to compartmentalize and how much I had to, things I had to do as a fan in my own mind that I shouldn't have had to do had this company been run properly leading up to the Batman. It's like that was a big challenge. And it's the exact same thing now with Superman Legacy and with all the James Gunn DC stuff, how this has come to be. I wish I could set all that aside and be excited. I just can't do that because how this has come about, it's undercut so much of what I was already invested in, and not just with the Snyder stuff, but now also with Superman and Lois. So yeah, that has absolutely tainted. It's impacted my ability to develop enthusiasm for this. I mean, that could, if the studio wises up and finds a way to, pull another DC fandom 2020 and say, okay, we actually are gonna, find a way to give you guys the ending you're asking for with this arc, then it's like, again, I would be, all that would go away in an instant. But that's just the problem. All of this is the studio's own doing. This is the bed Warner Brothers has made. So, and as William said, it's not the responsibility of the customer or the audience member or the fan to just fork over their money to you and be excited for what you got coming. It's on you as the business. It's on you as the retailer, as the studio behind it. It's on you to get them on board for it. And they have thus far not only failed to do that to a significant extent, they've also actively alienated much of their own audience. So, and that, including me on that. So that makes it very, very difficult for me to, develop the kind of enthusiasm for all of this that I normally would have had they just let it all play through, ended it naturally, and then starting a new continuity without all of this baggage and drama. All that absolutely matters to me, and all that absolutely impacts my ability to be excited for it. So that's what it is. That's how I feel about it. And until they find a way to, remedy that or fix that problem, that's the way that's going to be my perspective on it. So yeah, sorry, a little bit long-winded on that, guys, but yeah, those are kind of my feelings on the upcoming DC and Superman Legacy. But yeah, let's go back to the chat here. Yeah, I kind of gave more of my thoughts there on the whole.
Did you go on? I'm really scarred about what's happened.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was laying out like, listen, what this is the bed they've made. All this consternation, all of this fan division, this is entirely at the feet of Warner Brothers. This is all their own doing.
What the new people could have done, to be honest with you, because I didn't expect them to fix that. What they could have done, though, is they could have done a better job of transitioning and basically made their product look less sloppy and given, like I said, but even then, the fact that the company's probably going to be something else by the time this movie comes out, I just don't know if I'm ready to take that risk anymore, because I'm not a movie guy. I'm not a one.
You're a universe guy.
I don't give a fuck about one movie at a time. I use DCU. Not DC individual movie, DCU. You are selling me a universe. You are flooding this thing with characters, most of whom I don't care for, but I'm willing to give it a chance because there's more stuff in your universe. Like, I got a good feeling that just based on characters alone, I'm probably gonna have an initial problem with Legacy. However, though, if it's leading me to the things I want to see, I'm on for the ride. I just need to know that there's gonna be a ride, because you're telling me everybody is anointed, James Gunn. It's all about what James Gunn says. No, James Gunn has a boss, and his boss has bosses, and his boss might have new bosses. And now I was like, okay, and anybody, only comic book fans and people at the nerd level think that this can't change on a dime. And if you don't think that, you've never been a part of a company that's been bought out, or never seen a merger, and you probably weren't paying attention to the one that just happened, to where shit just changed and all those guys got chased. So until I know what kind of foundation that DC is going to be on, I have zero faith that we're going to get anything beyond just the original 2 or 3 movies that come out.
Yeah.
Or if we get them, they're going to be changed because the new guy is going to probably want a new direction, even if it keeps Gunn.
Yeah, and I didn't get as much into what you're saying, but yeah, that also is a factor too. The fact that we're now talking about another merger sale as early as April. I mean, it's like, I mean, this is what now we're coming up on like the third time this company has been sold or merged in the last
Yeah.
6 years.
And each time it's going to get less and less. Each time, I mean, like I said, the next time it gets sold, fuck, everything else. Let's just get some money together to do that. We could probably, we buy that company, we could probably raise money for all kinds of charity with the kind of stuff that we could do with that company. So what do we want to get with first? Because like I said, right now, guys, I'm running back and forth because I'm hosting a reunion and going back. So I'm kind of out of breath thing, but I did not want to deny you Brad's presence tonight. Fresh off of his suffering, I didn't want to not do the overnighter show. So let's go ahead and talk about my comic book turning point story to get that out the way real quick. This is DC New Frontiers. It's been out for a little bit, but I don't think there's been a story like it since its release, to be honest with you. And that's issue number 1. All right, so I'm going to give you the premise. I am not going to give you the story. I want you to go out and read the story for those of you who cannot read. All right, so basically what this is I'm going to read you the setting. And this is important because it opens up a lot of doors for a lot of future thought. All right, let's see. I'll give you the Wikipedia version, then I'll get into the DC Infinite, and I'll start showing you parts about it, and I actually have it here. All right, DC New Frontier is an Eisner, Harvey, and Schuster award-winning 6-issue comic book series written and drawn by Darwin Cook. He did a masterful job here. Darwin Cook and published by DC Comics in 2004. I remember getting this while I was headed for deployment. The series was collected into 2 trade paperback volumes in 2004 and 2005. One of them's right here. Here's volume 1. And an absolute edition. I do not have that one. I want that one. In 2006, a deluxe edition in 2015. I've had that one before. The story was also adapted into an animated film, Justice League: The New Frontier, which released in February 26, 2008. So, wow, that's quite a while ago. The series is influenced by both DC Comics' long history and series like Kingdom Come, Golden Age, Watchmen, and The Dark Knight Returns. Much like the Golden Age, New Frontier is set primarily in the 1950s and depicts Golden Age superheroes, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, meeting Silver Age characters like The Flash, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter. The story bridges the gap between the end of the Golden Age and the beginning of the Silver Age in the DC universe. All right, the New Frontier takes place between 1945 and 1960. So it's the original appearances. That's what the coolest thing about this is, the timeline.
Is the Cold War setting, yeah.
That, and it's a Cold War setting, but the timeline is actually the timeline in which these characters appeared. Like Hal Jordan, 1959. So it's all of them, they're all within their original appearances. So it's not, if you were reading them in the age they came out. All right, 1945 to 1960, tracing the decline of the so-called Golden Age and the beginning of the Silver Age of comic books. Golden Age characters such as Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman meet Silver Age characters such as Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, and The Flash. Cameo appearances by President Dwight D. Eisenhower and Vice President Nixon, and references to the Korean War, atomic testing, civil rights movement, and the Soviet Union provide historical context, and they really do. They really do. The storyline is inspired by comic books and films of that period, including novel and film versions of Tom Wolfe's The Right Stuff. The series attempts to reimagine and pay homage to the era of culture and political turmoil, which ushered in the presidency of John F. Kennedy. The title of the comic invokes Kennedy's New Frontier speech. So, and I won't go into the plot because you guys, like I said, I want you to read this. Let's go through. Here it is, right here. Let me get you. So if you're in, I almost said Borders. Oh man, I wish Borders was back. All right, but if you're in comic book store or anything else, this is volume 1. This is not the absolute edition. At one point, I had both of them, but I sold them. But I have this one. This is volume 1. This is the kind of artwork that's in it. There's your primary characters, and that's what it looks like when you buy it in the store. If you bought it here, and now let's go to let's go take a look. This is issue 1. I got pulled up on the screen, and I'm going to go through it. I don't want you guys trying to read it right now because you won't be able to put the things together, the context together. But here you go. Back. My computer just freeze. Let's go. And obviously, that's Hal Jordan's helmet. The Man Who Fell to Earth is one of the titles, and it refers to him. All right, internet. All right, here we go. All right. So it's drawn. The artwork style is kind of like the artwork style that was prevalent in that period. And one thing I did notice in the as you get deeper into the series and you get closer to the 60s, they're done in those kind of panels. The art style starts to change to what the 60s kind of look like, even though it's the same people. But there's a military test, and this is starting out in the 40s, and it reminds me of a lot like Sergeant Rock type of situation. But here is let's see. But that's what a lot of the art. This is basically the 4-color fantasy type of art. There's not a lot of blending when it comes to artwork here. A lot of them, and this is during the Korean War. A lot of it is basic layered artwork that they did back when in the era where if you were to open up a comic book, this is what they looked like back then. Look at those helicopters. Those helicopters were from the Vietnam era or the Korean era.
And if you guys have seen the animated movie Justice League New Frontier, the animation style is pretty much a 1-to-1 of this.
Exactly, they did an exact opposite. We might watch that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite DC animated movies is New Frontier.
Mine too. This is my favorite cover. One of my favorite covers of the whole thing. This is the issue where Hal Jordan gets his ring, and he becomes this era's Green Lantern. What's the firework? Do you know what? Vegas never needs a fucking reason to do fireworks. There is nothing significant about today, but I know, whatever.
But yeah, also Hal. Sorry to interrupt. Again, anyone who hasn't read it or hasn't read it or is so familiar, it's like it's got the whole jail ensemble, but it's also in a lot of ways, it's also it's fairly Green Lantern centric. It's also got a Hal Jordan Green Lantern origin story kind of wrapped in its center.
Yeah, it does, and this is the actual 6th issue, the final issue. But the artwork on the cover is just really, yeah. Hey, DC Infinite, you guys need to fix your website. It doesn't flow like it needs to.
And by the way, that guy with the hat there, the fedora, that's Martian Manhunter.
Yep, and there you go. Let's look at that one. And Martian Manhunter's been around a long time, and he appears right when he's supposed to.
And Batman has a great line to him too, where he says, he says, I need to look at it again to see verbatim, but basically it's that, I think you're trustworthy, but make no mistake, for the guy, the Kryptonian in Metropolis, I've got like a $5,000 or $50,000 kryptonite rock. You have to take care of him. For you, I just need like 10 cents for a book of matches.
This is Coast City. This is Hal Jordan.
Yeah, again, the artwork. That's what makes this story so great, is the fact that it does recreate kind of the feel of the era that it's in through the artwork so well.
Yeah. Hold on, I got my guess. But I love this comic. I really do. And it is one of the cooler animations that they did. And, I'm not the biggest fan of 90s animation, but this
that's 2000s animation.
This is 2000. This is beyond. This is past that level, and it's not really softened. They're giving you Cold War era stuff, and Cold War, for those of you guys who didn't grow up in it, was very brutal as far as starkness that happened and things that were happening. You had to realize there were people dying all the time. And like I said, a lot of this is about how Jordan.
Well, and the villain, the alien antagonist, the center, was designed. It was very much meant to be, like an analogy or a metaphor for communism or for the Soviet Union.
Yeah. And here's one of my favorite panels. That's him talking to Wonder Woman and her, above Themyscira. I love the design of this costume, and then that's the appropriate era for that costume. So I said I can't. When people come in, when people come in to my store in the comics, this is one of the things I hand them outright. If they haven't been in for a while, or they're just not getting in because of the movies and everything else, this is what I hand them. This is what I give them. So you can get this on DC Infinite. I would much prefer you walk into a comic book store or in our bookstore and grab it. But if you cannot, you can get this with just a basic membership of DC Infinite. Bam, it's right there for you. All 6 issues are there. Let's see. Let's go back here. But the coloring is just my favorite. And here we are. Here's Wonder Woman. I love the way she's presented here. And this is another thing. This is another timepiece. Look at the TV. So you're right in, and look at you can kind of see the Martian Manhunter in the background in his true form.
Yeah. He's got this isn't even like his standard Martian Manhunter form. It's is more his standard Martian form.
Yeah. So and I just love this comic. I can't express how much I really love this comic and love having it in this store. So that is anybody got any questions about it? And here's a perfect cover. If you look and if you notice, is that on my screen? Hold on, I got to get this on the screen because it's really cool. Hold on, let me get rid of all this other stuff. Remove. There's a really cool picture right now that I want you guys to see. And if you've been watching the Fantastic Four news, you'll have a better appreciation of it. So let's go to this. Like I said, I could talk about this comic forever, but I really want you guys to experience the excitement for it. Look at that. I just love that. See how the New Frontier in that 50s style. And if you go look at the announcement for Fantastic Four, how they did that, that's the same era. So I really appreciated that back in the day. So okie dokie. Anybody got any questions about that particular? If you guys go and get that and read that, let me know. When I present these stories to you guys, let me know when you get to them what you think about them, because mainly this is really to get you to read this stuff.
Yeah, well, I think because this is weird me bringing this up right when I was talking about and you were also talking about our shared reticence or hesitation or whatever you want to call it about James Gunn's DCU, but there has been speculation that that there is some kind of adaptation of New Frontier in the works. So of course you've heavily you've emphasized a lot. It's like trying to create a lineage from the adaptation of the source material. So obviously you think that would really that would create like a second life for a New Frontier, if there is something like that in the works. But again, that's all predicated on another merger, not derailing everything. But the thing about that is like if they did adapt it, it's like, do you think like how much do you think they would need to maintain the period setting? It's like is that indispensable to it? Because I think that is very central in a lot of ways to the identity of the story, is the Cold War setting.
I think that the same thing with Fantastic Four. You could start it out. You can start it out with that. Hold on. Updates. There you go. You could start it out with that, but you don't necessarily need to stay there. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with the Fantastic Four, I don't think you're going to stay there. I don't think you're going to stay. I think they're going to originate in the 60s, but I think somehow with the convergence of the universe. Now with this right here, you could, and this is what I mean by an Elseworld story. You could tell this story just fine.
Yeah, you could do it without tying it into Zack Snyder or James Gunn or Matt Reeves or Todd Phillips or anything like that.
Yeah, you could do this in because what makes an Elseworlds and Elseworld is the circumstances, and the timeline is the time period is the circumstance. And I think it would be great. So
Yeah, and I believe the animated movie is pretty much just a standalone on its own. It's not part of it's not linked to any of the interconnected anime movies or anything else. Really is just kind of its own. It's an Elseworlds story. It tells here's how the Justice League comes to be within this time frame and this set of circumstances we've established within the story. It really is its own unique jail origin story.
yeah, it's I love this book. Like I said, it literally it sits. If you guys have never been here or you remember the tour, like right now I'm sitting behind my actual counter. It sits here and it sits there with books like I got Supergirl World as well. I got Dark Knight Returns. I have Kingdom Come. I have all, and I have that. I have all the basic ones for when somebody comes into the store and they're like, what I don't know where to jump in. You can jump into this without having to be anything. You can jump into this without having been into the movies yet. You can jump into this. You can hand this to any of your buddies that are on the fence about getting back into comics or getting into comics. You can hand that to them, and they're going to be okay. This gives you the basic familiarity of the characters. It gives you all the basic familiarity of the characters to let you go anywhere else.
And the good thing about it too, I think, is with because of the the Cold War setting of it, it really even though it's a modern book, it really kind of, I think that's almost like a distillation of the kind of jail or DC character stories that were, told during that, during the period, when DC, wasn't the before they had, really gotten to what we think of as DC universe now, but, you had the kind of the pieces being set on the board, in the 50s and the 60s, establishing these characters comic wise. This book really acts as a distillation of that tone and that approach to them, during that era.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and like I said, you can just go ahead with it and not have to worry about, am I going to be confused? Where is this leading me? Do I have to buy a bunch of this or a bunch of that? This is one of those stories. And to be quite honest with you, Supergirl World of Tomorrow falls into that to that same category for me because of the fact that it's Supergirl, she's established as a character, but that story is perfect. That it is so detached that you can just go ahead and do what you need to do with it. And if you don't want to go any further with these characters, you don't have to. But it allows you to do whatever you get. And that's why I think that cinematically, if you ever want to do that, now if you get this confused with what James Gunn or anybody else is doing, I'm sorry. Do you know how to even read? And I'm not trying to insult you, but if you get this confused, stylized as it is, distinct as it is, if you get this confused, you want it to be confused. And once again, because I'm not calling anybody dumb, I am you guys' defender when it comes to, I think you guys are way smarter than these idiot studios give you credit for. I think that you guys can tell the difference between any Superman, any Batman you want to. And the ones who can't can get brought up to speed, no problem. This right here, if you were to do a live action movie of this, you would be just fine. And you wouldn't even have to connect this to anything. It's the time period that makes this story what it is. So that is why DC The New Frontier is my turning point comic book story of this week. And on that note, I gotta order some pizza. Right. And I'm gonna be right back.
Okay, so I'll go back to comments.
All right.
Alrighty. So, and I'll add on to that too if you guys haven't. I mean, obviously read the comic we were just discussing, but also the animated movie. You should check that out too. And that would be a great watch party because I do think it is one of the best DC animated movies out there. So definitely in every medium the story has been told so far. New Frontier is definitely a DC turning point story. So okay, let me go back to comments here. See what you guys got for me. I hope it's not too much scary movie related. Let's see. Brad, does Sammo Hung get overshadowed by his contemporary, the crossover to America? Yeah, Sammo, he never really he didn't get as in terms of like mainstream recognition. He never really quite got as much of a foothold stateside as a everybody, like the Hong Kong stars. Which is kind of a shame because martial law obviously is really good, and but also it's like it's a shame, but it's also not in a way. It's also not because he didn't really make as much of a. I mean, Jackie Chan was like really, really trying for the longest time to get a foothold stateside, really conquer that territory, and Sammo really did not. He was not. That was not really a lot where a lot of his goals lie. He was largely kind of content with his Hong Kong career. Again, martial law was like the big exception to that. We did a few things. He was in around the world in 80 days with Jackie. He's done some, I think he's done some fight choreographer work in Hollywood. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, he hasn't got as much of a football but hold in Hollywood, but he also hasn't, that's not really been what he's been chasing after as much either. So it's kind of like I wish he had, but also it's like it seems like he didn't really want to do that as much either. He was kind of content with what he did with martial law. So but he's obviously, if you are a big Asian cinema fan or action fan, Hong Kong fan of Sammo, of course, it's just he's just a legend. Like I said, he's absolutely a legend. Let's see, Sammo knife fight Navatucha. Yeah, Sammo. Yeah, he is fantastic at it. He was the fight choreographer on the first Hitman, and then he's one of the rival Kung Fu Sifus in Hitman 2. And he's just phenomenal in that. He is absolutely phenomenal in it. And Spider-Man also asked, this is very pertinent to what I was just talking about. How much more Avatar do you need to watch, Brad? How many seasons do you expect? I'm going to be finishing up the show over tonight, tomorrow. So I'm about halfway through with it. But yeah, I'm loving again. They'd have to massively drop the ball at this point for me to not love what I've seen them do so far. As far as how many seasons, the original show, it had 3 seasons. There are 3 books. Each one is called Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, and they did the same thing with Legend of Korra. They did Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, Book 4. So with Avatar, I've always been going by the expectation that they were going. The intent was always to do 3 seasons with Avatar on Netflix, and that they do Legend of Korra the same thing. The intention would be to do 4 seasons. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. I hope that answers the question there. What else we got? Hindsight being 2020, let's be honest, we can't blame Zaslav and Gunn for any of this. They had to clean up the mess the previous regime left, and it wasn't their fault. No, well, but see, the thing that William and I have been saying for the longest time is they also, again, they left so much because of how much they just threw down the gauntlet and said, yeah, this is it for it. We're starting anew right here, right now. Just clean break like that. They have alienated a not insignificant chunk of the fan base in doing so, and also it's like I would argue set up the last year's DC movies to fail. And it's like they led 3 of them to failure, and one of them did respectable under the circumstances. But so yeah, it's like I don't. Yeah, the bulk of the blame most definitely goes on the prior regime, multiple regimes, but. And of course, jury's still out on how the current regime is going to go long term, especially if there's another merger. But again, they are not blameless in all of this. There are aspects of it where they have made bad calls, in both my and Williams and many other people's opinions. So that's kind of where I stand on that. I'll bring this one back up when William comes back, man. Kingdom of Nerds, how's it going? I think this is the first time we've seen you in here, so welcome aboard the Cyber Center, man. Let's see. Yeah, how's it going, Bradley? Come in. Are you talking about New Frontier? Because yeah, it is. It's very true to the book. It's very awesome. It's a very awesome animated movie, very awesome comic book. And again, that's so much of what makes it great is the fact that it is so unique because it is so steeped in the Cold War era. So that really makes it one of a kind. It makes it a really different story and really different approach to the characters. So, and again, you're not going to confuse it with Dark Knight Returns. You're not going to confuse it with Kingdom Come. If you get a live action movie out of New Frontier, you're not going to confuse it with Zack Snyder's Justice League. You're not going to confuse it with Superman Legacy. You're not going to confuse it with the Batman. Yeah, it's distinct and stylized enough where it really does have it's its own thing, it's its own Elseworlds, and it stands on its own very, very, very well. Very well. Oh, that's not why they had fireworks in Vegas tonight, man. Not at all. Would you say Justice League New Frontier has some parallels to the Ultimate Universe? Well, I'll ask William when he comes back on that, but that's an interesting question. I don't know if I quite go that far because it is just, the one story. It's not like a whole, you don't have like New Frontier versions of each individual character, so I don't think I'd go quite that far. But I could see where you'd make that comparison. So, but I'll bring that up back when William comes back. I've been hearing more about New Frontier lately. I'm not sure I passed the movie when it came out. Yeah, the animated movie was awesome, man. Read the book and watch it. Watch the animated movie. It was awesome. Yeah, I think I might have seen him mention that he's cited as inspiration. Yeah. So, yeah. Might have to pull a fourth order. Yes, let's do that, man. Okay, what else we got in the chat? William, is the X-Men really woke? I think William would say they are, and I think most people would say they are. Because it's so predicated on prejudice and xenophobia and bigotry and all kinds of other themes of that nature. So, yeah. I don't even like the term woke myself because it's so overused and it's so... Yeah, it's used both... It's used in... I don't think it's used really in good ways by anybody, to be perfectly honest. I don't think it's it's just used, the way it's used is so much of a cudgel, whether it's used in a positive way or as a term of criticism. It's like I feel like there's a better... I know what it's getting at. As far as woke base, essentially means like being cognizant of social injustices and prejudice, but I just feel like there's a better way to convey that message than really how it has been so far. And of course, then the way it's used disparagingly now is for people. It's used as a term of derision against the idea of people being overzealous with a lot of that. So, yeah, I feel like the term itself has lost a lot of meaning, and because it's been misused really across the board. So I feel like there's a better term for what it's referring to. But for what it's referring to, yes, X-Men definitely falls in that category. Definitely does. Can't take that out of it. Probably be in the 60s for 20 minutes at most. You mean if they do a live action New Frontier? Or do you mean if they do a live action or a Fantastic Four is going to be in the 60s? Which one are you referring to, Bradley? Because I can see either one. Rogue is still looking for her cheeks. Yeah. Let's see. Sounds like Fantastic Four as well. You're talking about the Cold War comparison with a New Frontier? Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's like Fantastic Four, I recognize their importance to comic book lore and superhero lore, but they're just not my thing. It's like when you run into somebody who says they're not a big Superman fan, but they do still respect his Superman's importance, because without Superman you don't have superheroes. And Fantastic Four is a similar thing where it's like without them you really don't have the Marvel universe as we know it. So that's kind of where I stand with Fantastic Four. It's like I'm not really a fan, but I do respect their significance. That will make sense. So, I do not know. That's a William question. Lobo is not in New Frontier. Lobo's not. Bradley, he means me. I really love to be able to watch the entire... How can any of you like those movies? I just really, again, and I said I want OJ level lawyering today. If you're going to persuade me otherwise, and I definitely did not get that, so I'm still waiting on the OJ level lawyering to tell me why I'm mistaken about this franchise. So anyone who can do that, you're more than welcome to try. So, being different actors gives it away. That's not saying people aren't as dumb as yeah, we're not. But again, studios they don't they are so risk averse that they lead them down roads to bad decision making just so often. I mean, yeah, it's just they don't give their audience enough credit so often that they end up cutting off their nose to spite their face. So it's unfortunate, but hopefully they come out of that mindset pretty soon. I'll remove the scary movie role for you, Brad, soon. I just thought it was funny. Yeah, you're talking about on Discord. Thank you. Let's see. I would. Come on. I'm trying to pull this one. I wait. So we have you to thank for that, Clint? Yeah. You had $650,000 or $650. What? Yeah, the necessary amount of money to just. You probably have $650,000 if this is what you're throwing around. You have the necessary finances to just piss away on Scary Movie. Okay. I'm glad it goes to charity, but it's still going to my pain. Ugh. Brad, how do you feel about the Kingdom Come S possibly being the logo and legacy in red and yellow? I mean, again, it just kind of goes back to my feelings on the whole situation with DC right now cinematically, which is that it's a cool idea to bring that the iconography of the Kingdom Come logo cinematically, but just how we've gotten here, it's just taken so much of the wind out of my sails, and it's the burden is on the studio to get my enthusiasm and my trust back. That's just how I feel. I mean, we had right after Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, we had on Twitter 1.5 million people saying, "Give us more of that, please." We had Brad Paisley jumping in on it. We had Leslie Jones jumping in on it. I mean, the thing became just a phenomenon when it came out, and the studio just told us to get lost. And then it's like we had to fight another year and a half to get 5 seconds of Henry Cavill at the end of Black Adam, and that got undercut. They keep alienating and pushing away so much of their fan base and expecting them to return. And just you can't have it both ways like that. You just can't. You can't have this mindset of we are going to actively tell you that everything you want is we refuse to deliver on, but we also want you to show up for this other thing that you may or may not like. And by the way, we're also going to call you toxic, horrible people along the way. Never mind the fact our own recent history of well-documented history of treating our own creatives and filmmakers and actors like garbage behind the scenes. Reference the behind the scenes situation on Justice League. All of that absolutely, and of course everything William said about the pending, and I think at this point the writing is on the wall, likely merger, yet again the third one they've had in 6 years. All of that absolutely weighs on my ability to have the kind of excitement and enthusiasm I had for DC cinematically that I did, circa 2015 when we got the initial slate announced. I mean, so to answer your question, I would like nothing more as a DC fan, as a Superman fan, to be able to go into Superman Legacy with just all the excitement in the world. But the studio itself has actively hindered my ability to do that. And until they find a way to fix that problem, that's just not going to change. And for record, I'm not telling anybody, how they should feel about it. If you're looking forward to what is coming up with Legacy or what James Gunn is doing, or if you're a fan of his work generally, more power to you. This is how I feel. And I know for a fact, lots of people feel the same way. This is what, this is what Warner Brothers, this is the bed they have made. They got to sleep in it. There's no way around that. So yeah, a little bit of a mini rant there, but yeah. So yeah, hope that answers the question though. But the Kingdom Come Superman logo, I mean, it is an awesome logo, or it is an awesome emblem. I should say emblem. I prefer that term much more so than logo when it applies to superhero iconography. And I really liked when they gave it to Brandon Routh on Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's great seeing and the fan art I've seen with it applied to Henry Cavill's suit in the chainmail. It's really well done. So the Kingdom Come logo in the abstract is really cool, whether it's got the black behind it or the yellow behind it. But like I said, it's just, in on its own, that would be cool to see. But what the situation Warner Brothers has created with how they have mishandled this IP over the last 7 years, it's like, I can't. They will earn my enthusiasm back. The onus is on them to do that. I'm not just going to give it to them.
Well, and the thing about Superman in general, it's just going to be a tough sell, but I think they'll be all right. But this is inspiration. Not only was his inspiration Kingdom Come, because that's the inspiration for this one, but this is Superman in the Authority. So I think he's taking a little bit from this era. And since not a lot of people, no one cinematically has used that that S before in a major motion picture, then I think that's where his signature will be.
Do you think that the suit will have like that kind of that t-shirt and jeans kind of look to
it? No,
okay.
I don't think so. I think he's a traditionalist to the point where he would not do that.
So just the Kingdom Come S, basically.
Just S, and that S is really all it really is. That's just significant enough. All right, real quick while our pizza's on their way.
Okay. By the way, there are a couple of questions that they had for you. I'm going to go ahead and highlight. See if I can just find it, because I went through a whole bunch of them while you were.
Let me take the spoiler banner off, because we're no longer talking spoilers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anthony asked, "Is X-Men woke?" And I addressed that. Where I said, yes, they are woke. I think really the problem is the term woke has been really kind of driven into the ground, both by well-intentioned and ill-intentioned people. So it's
and you have the bigots that have really done the biggest damage to the term, because they use it to the extreme. Though when you're using it, what it is when bigots use it, it's resistance to inclusion in evolution is what it is. A lot of other people misuse it, and I'm really tired. When I hear the word woke, I automatically, if you're using that word, be advised that I stopped listening to you at the point where you started using that word. I think it's overused. I think it's misused. And I think racists and bigots have taken the charge to it and made it something stupid. And I posted on my Twitter the very first time that X-Men became woke was X-Men #1 in September of 1963.
Yeah, I mean, and the idea, I mean, it's because I mentioned while you were away, it's like you have the term woke really, I mean, as a modern term, really emerge and refers to the idea of being cognizant of things like bigotry and social injustice, and then the way it's been more recently used as a disparaging term is the idea of people getting overzealous against in a lot of ways with that. And that's why I feel like it's, again, what it refers to is right. I just feel like the term really needs adjusting or needs updating, because like you said. Yeah. So it's like we need something to have the same definition applied, but just different word. Because it's like, I'm like you. It's like once I hear it, it's like, God, I don't like where this conversation is going. But there are a couple also that you. Hey, how's it going, Aaron?
You're welcome, Aaron. This is the big 5-0, right, Aaron? No,
yeah, she mentioned as we wrap it up, Man of Steel, that it was her birthday, and I tweeted to Aaron because she jumped off before I could do this on the stream, but I wanted to, because every time someone has a birthday, I send them the Simpsons gif of the Ramones singing "Happy Birthday." So I tweeted that to Aaron. So happy birthday, Aaron! But yeah, there were two for you. I wanted to highlight one of them. I can't remember who said it, but I remember what it was. They said, "Would you consider New Frontier kind of a DC equivalent to Ultimate Marvel?"
No. And here's why. And I actually got that question today by a customer, because we were talking about this. Ultimate Marvel, other than the fact that they are both alternate versions of these characters and not the mainline universe, the difference between Ultimate Marvel and Ultimate is the time period that they use to it. What makes this alternate is the window, the time window. What makes the Ultimate Universe alternate is the circumstances. They are still running alongside time-wise parallel to the regular 616. Whereas this one, the circumstances are its time. Whereas like a Kingdom Come would be more lined up with an ultimate and things like that, where certain circumstances, even to that point, in order for it to be more like an ultimate, it would be circumstances would have to change. Like Superman, like in Ultimate, they're chasing the super soldier serum for the most part, and they are a lot of the superhuman activity stems from that, whereas in the regular 616 each of these people got their powers on a random basis. So that's the difference. Whereas the ultimate, it's the circumstances that change it, whereas this one, it's just the window of time. Instead of these characters being retconned like DC did over and over again, they basically stayed in those time periods that they were originating at, and the events happen within the time periods that the actual comic was released. So same in the fact that they are an alternate take on the characters, but different because the circumstances are drastically different.
Okay. Pretty good. But now the other one, this is from Numbers. William, hypothetically speaking, if no one comes in to buy Warner Brothers, what would happen to the company, which is currently $43 billion in debt? Well, I don't know if that's their debt. I think that's what their value is right now.
29 now. What they would have to end up doing is probably they would have to sell off or license out a lot of core things. What would end up happening, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think someone will get them. The thing that they would probably end up doing is, instead of being the ones that currently that are making the stuff, they will just probably recede to being the distributor, which means like other companies. Oops, hold on for a second. I think somebody just sent us a message to the fundraiser.
Oh, really? Did we get another donation?
Oh no, it's okay. No, it's a key. We unlocked the 77,500 lifetime achievement award on February 25th. You've unlocked swag. Oh, I get another shirt.
Okay.
So cool. I'm gonna go into the thing and look at that. Hold on. But before I lose my thought, what was I saying? I was saying, oh no. So what'll end up happening with them? So instead of there being like a Warner Brothers or DC Studios or something like that, they will always maintain ownership of these characters. What they will do, though, it'll always be a Warner Brothers Pictures, but it will be like some other studio making it, like Ben Affleck's company will be, or Legendary. They'll be the producers of it, but they won't be part of the liability. So the studios that take over these projects and parts of these projects out will do their own thing, because they will have purchased that right to do that license to do so. But Warner Brothers would distribute it, because when you're just distributing, that's the profit right there. You're not the one, on the hook for, what the theaters get. When you're a distributor, yours comes off the top. See, when you're a distributor and you're owner of IP and you're the studio, you're liable for pretty much everything, and it includes having to pay back places like Legendary that front you the money. So their money comes first. But when you surrender that, if you have to for financial reasons, you surrender that liability. You still own the distribution rights, which is basically the same as owning it, but you don't have to. You're not the one making the decisions. That's probably what would happen with a lot of their IPs, like Potter or anything like that. But I don't think it would get to that stage, because once you start doing that, if you start signing contracts like that, and in mass, you started to devalue the company, because whoever were to acquire you would be locked under those contracts. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think would happen. I don't think it will happen.
Yeah, I do think I do think that, as far as, I mean, again, there's so much talk about another merger right now. So again, I think the writing is on the wall. I think another one is going to move ahead as soon as it can. Again, they said legally they can't go ahead and do that until April. So I think again, just the chatter around it has been so omnipresent. I think that that's most likely going to be what's going to be the outcome of it. And of course, we'll see like who the potential buyers are. I mean, obviously, people have proposed a lot of different candidates, but that's all above my pay grade. But yeah, I think probably it wouldn't be such that nobody would want to buy them. It's like, no, somebody's going to want to merge or buy Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I think they're especially if it's another company. So here we go, guys. Let me show you guys where we're at here.
Okay. By the way, Larry wants to know when we're watching a scary movie too.
We're gonna put them all together, and then I might just get them all out of the way at once.
That's 4 hours of that shit.
Yeah, and I knew you would like that. So hold on. Let's see.
Oh.
All right, here we go. See that, guys? This is our journey. So can you guys see that on there?
Yeah.
Right, so if you see there, we have the 500, which we reached like immediately, like that day we reached that. Thanks to Zach and everybody else there. Then next was the 1000 one. We actually reached that the same day. Then we reached the 2500 one, and then 5000 we reached on New Year's. And then we didn't have another milestone until today when we reached 8,000. Actually, it's 8,000. There's no 7,500 or 10 that. So it's 70,000. We reached 7,500, but in truth, we reached 8,000. And then right there to the right of it, see that? That's 10K. That's our
That's our end game. That's our own goal. Yeah, we're now $2,000 away from that. And you guys, your generosity and your sadism is much appreciated for all of that.
Wow! Breaking news: Brad will be in the upcoming. With
I'll make it good this time. I'll make it like actual jokes that aren't just pie in the face and smut humor.
All right, I'm gonna turn it back over to Brad for a couple minutes while I go get this pizza.
Okay.
And at the last hour, we're going to do our usual thing now.
Yeah.
We're going to invite like I said, we're going to invite the lunatics to run the asylum. So have your questions prepared. Have your arguments. Have your losing arguments prepared. Chappie, you know who I'm talking to. Fourth, all you guys.
Yeah, they are. The inmates are already running the asylum on the scary movie stream.
But it's for a good cause. I'll be right back.
All right. Let's go back to chat, guys. Let's see what we got for you. Talking about. Okay, see, we're talking about Fantastic Four. Okay, yeah, and I can see that too. Them like having it being like a 60s origin, but then bringing them into modern times. And again, the mechanism they do that in, it's whether it's going to be like a merging of universes or interdimensional travel or things like that. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I could definitely see them beginning in the 60s. Yeah, and I mean, Captain America: The First Avenger. I still think that's one of the best MCU movies, and that's because again, it's World War II setting that makes it very unique. It makes it really a standout thing. And of course, you guys, if you weren't aware, of course, Joe Johnston directed First Avenger. He also directed The Rocketeer in '91, and again, that's another World War II era superhero movie. And pretty much his work on that was what got him the job on Captain America. And I think you definitely see a lot of the tonal similarities between them. Rocketeer is really awesome. If you haven't seen it, give that a look. It is great historical kind of period superhero movie. Really near and dear to my heart. Let's see. I like a lot of different stuff. I was a teenager when the first one came out. I like a lot of the raw stuff then. You're talking about Scary Movie? Okay. Including Freddy Got Fingered and Dude Where's My Car? Freddy Got Fingered, that's a real God. Tom Green, it's like he must have had what first time director has had that kind of free reign to just do what he did with that? Because he clearly didn't have anybody telling him what to do on that. I mean, it has stuff with it, like he's gonna swing a newborn baby around by its umbilical cord, and he's gonna skin the deer and like put its skin on and all this other crazy stuff in it. Yeah, he did not have any studio interference whatsoever. And it's like Freddy Got Fingered is the kind of thing that will make you believe in the value of studio oversight at different points. Bear with me, guys. Actually, guys, I need to step away for a second. Just bear with me a second here. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry guys, my dog was going a little bit wild out here. Okay, back to chat. Okay, what do you guys got for me? I agree, rather really. Yeah. I mean, listen, you can't. I've said multiple times, Warner Brothers, their business model as far as DC since 2017, since since they did the JL reshoots, their business model with DC is basically amounted to one hand giveth, the other taketh away. And their attitude with how they've handled all this is amounted to, in a lot of ways, like ripping their fans' hearts out and telling them they're performing life-saving surgery. Yeah, I mean, you just can't do that over and over and expect people to keep coming back with the same kind of enthusiasm they had, when it all began. You just can't do that. That's not, the burden is not on them to keep forgiving you for all your screw-ups. And it's like they just don't seem to want to realize that. Yeah, no, I could tell you for this Henry coming back and then being shown the door. It's like, yeah, that really, I know for a fact that was the last straw for a lot of people. That broke a lot of people. Because again, it was within 2 months. It was all like 10 days before Christmas when it happened in 2022. Yeah. I can't, you want, if you want people to have enthusiasm for what you're doing with with your DCIP, Warner Brothers, you can't just keep yo-yoing their emotions around like this and then calling them toxic when they have the nerve to raise a word of objection about it. Okay, what else we got in the chat? Brad is like Rocky Balboa and Rocky 3. Charity hurts sometimes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. If we survive World War III, think of all the new cinema we get. Yeah. I really want to see the Superman and Black Adam fight very much. Just such a cool concept. What else you guys got for me? Brad, I understand it was meant to be a spoof of James Bond, but as a hardcore James Bond fan, I thought Austin Powers kind of ruined the credibility of Bond. Yeah, I could see that a little bit, and they really devolved to a lot of just really crude humor as they went along. So yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Let's see. Charles says, asking me to give James Gunn's DCU a chance to basically ask me to change which tone I like. Why would I give him a chance when I don't like any of what his DCU is going to look like? And I think you had a kind of a follow-up there. Okay. Yeah, there's another comment I saw yours, and I think kind of works in tandem with this. Let me see if I can pull it up. Just bear with me here, guys. Not sure I can find it. Well, anyway, yeah, again, I mean, just changing gears over and over, change the course over and over like this and just expecting people to just deal with it. I mean, you can't blame people for having their be feeling exhausted like this and feeling bitter and jaded and alienated like this with how the studio has handled DC, how they, the first ever cinematic Justice League movie. And it's like, and they destroyed it like they did. And then the fan base had to, fight tooth and nail for 2.5 years to get the real version out. And they still tried to undercut it after it came out and before and after it came out. They did everything they could to try to undermine it. I mean, this is how they've handled these set of characters and this universe. And they expect people to just be okay with that. And no, you can't have it both ways like that. I know I'm going on a bit of a rant here, guys, but I mean, this is how I feel about it. I know a lot of other people do. Let's see. Daniel Martin. Brad, that's my position. I feel like they assume fans are cheaply bought or flocked to anything with a bat somewhere else in the chest. Yeah. Can't argue with it. I mean, it's really, I don't think I would be exaggerating to say that since 2017, to be a DC fan has felt akin to being in an abusive relationship. So I don't think that's a stretch to say. See, Bradley, what you got for me? I think we've had enough of the classic S symbol in Superman media live action wise, so the Kingdom Come will be used. If that is the confirmed symbol for Superman, it's a nice change. Yeah. Again, like I said, I did really enjoy seeing it brought to life, in live action with Brandon Routh, The Kingdom Come. So it's a cool, alternate version of the S Shield. I think personally that, yeah, again, the iconography of it, and I think this is something Zack Snyder himself has said at multiple points in interviews, like the Superman S Shield is like the second most universally recognized symbol on Earth. It's second only to a Christian cross. So, the iconography of that is such that, you really can't get away from it in absolute sense. So the Kingdom Come S is still, really great, alternate take on it. But obviously, of course, none of this is confirmed. And we just, see the old little name tags with that version of the S on it. So, we still don't know that's what it's going to be, but, we'll see. We've definitely seen it can work very well in live action with Brandon Routh. And again, like I said, he was my favorite character on Crisis. I thought he really really got the chance to truly showed he can do with Superman, Brandon Routh on Crisis on Infinite Earths. So, yeah, and of course, all this, goes without saying, Kingdom Come, one of the greatest, DC comic stories ever written. If you haven't read it, you definitely should. Absolutely should. Let's see what else. Who else you got for me tonight, guys? By the way, I think someone around here's been setting off firecrackers too, William. Because but again, I go outside for our Saturday night streams. I'm smelling a little bit of smoke that again seems to have come from fireworks nearby. I heard a few booms a little bit ago. So numbers gets to keep his avatar for at least 3 more. Okay, I mean, I'm assuming that's yeah. I guess that's a positive in somebody's life. William, is the era the DC New Frontier is written in so conducive to storyline that it would be messed up? Let's say someone pushed it up to yeah, I'll bring that back when he gets back. Because again, it's a question for literally a William question you just asked. So again, I feel like you need to. He just said like you could start it if you did an adaptation. You could start it during the Cold War and then bring it to modern times. So it's like that would be one way to do it. But I feel like again, the Cold War setting is so central to New Frontier. It's like you can't drop it altogether. So kind of how I feel about that. How's it going, Droga? Let's see. What else you guys got for me? I can assure you I will not. I hope this makes sense when I'm going to use a double helix society has become so tolerant. They have tolerated intolerance the past few months. Okay. A little bit of a limerick there. Maybe is the word I'm looking for. Sorry, clear my throat there, guys. As a small town scary movie lawyer, you are way too hard on these movies, Brad. No, I'm not. If anything, I'm too nice to them. Yeah, The Rocketeer is awesome, man. Rocketeer is a classic. I think it actually was Disney's first superhero movie because it was 91 when it came out, so that was way before they had Marvel. So, yeah, I love The Rocketeer. Love The Rocketeer. Let's see. It will be once we open it up to all you rambunctious hellions to come on. Yeah, you should, man. You definitely should see The Rocketeer. Definitely should see The Rocketeer. It's and like I said, Joe Johnston, he got the job to direct Captain America: The First Avenger because he directed The Rocketeer, and again, they're both World War II era movies. So it was kind of like his audition for Captain America was The Rocketeer. It still stands very well on its own, obviously. Yeah, he did direct Jurassic Park 3. He also directed the first Jumanji with Robin Williams. So he's definitely done some pretty awesome work. Daddy, would you like some sauce? Oh God, it's just,
Well, how did I? God, what did I walk?
oh, it was the Freddy got fingered quote they brought up. But yeah, let me. Okay, yeah, you stepped away, so I'm going to pull this one up that Anthony had for you. William, is the era that DC New Frontier is written in so conducive to the story that it would be messed up if, let's say, someone pushed it up to 2 Desert Storms 1 and 2? And I think what you're getting, yeah, I think,
yeah, the heart of the story is the era that it is in. Yeah, the heart of the story is the era, and not only because of it where it lies in the Cold War and all that, but where it lies as far as when these characters first originally appeared. They're basically giving them to you as if you were there when they first appeared. So 1959 is when Hal Jordan first appeared. That's when he appears in this storyline. So yeah, it would be a drastic change if they did
if the jokes are legit, you must acquit. Well, the jokes were not legit, so we did not acquit. So there you go.
Oh my God, look at the OJ thing going on.
Yeah, I said I need OJ level lawyering. If you want to convince me that I need them to pull that, putting on the glove thing. I need you.
That was Christopher Darden.
He
caught in the case right there.
Oh, he was kicking his own ass after he did that.
Awesome. You watched that documentary, and even he's like, but they let him do it.
Yeah, why did I do that?
They let him do it. So all right, so let's go on to the musical topic of the week. While I'm in between runarounds here, this week it's Stone Temple Pilot, Purple.
I'll be right back, man.
All right, one of the better albums of the 90s. Another 90s band that is not here with us anymore, or not entirely. Scott Weiland having passed away. He had his drug demons and his heroin demons, and like a lot of people from the mid 90s that didn't survive or didn't make it into their late older years. Scott Weiland was one of them. This album was way better than the original album. The original album for them, that's the one where Sex Type Thing came on. Speaking of, there are a few songs on this album that really kind of stuck with me as they were being released. Like, he passed away in 2015. At the age of 48, which is too young to be dying. And a lot of it was drugs. Let's see. All right. Let's see, album discography. Core was the first album. That one, that one had a lot of the original songs on it. It was released in 1992, the end of 1992, and it got big in 1993. I remember when I was getting deployed, not deployed, when I was going to basic training, this song. Dead and Bloated was a hit song from them. Sex Type Thing was, that was the big one. Wicked Garden, Creep, Plush was a number one hit for them. That was their debut album. And then we go to Purple, which was released in 1994. Now, Purple is most famously known as the song that has the Big Empty on it, which would be the song that would be most associated with The Crow's original soundtrack, even though it's only in The Crow for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. Not even that. They're driving in the car and they have it playing on the radio. But for some reason, somehow, and masterfully so, when they put out that movie, they used that song to market the movie. And every time you saw a promo for it, it was that song, and that helped put Stone Temple Pilots further on the map. They had a lot of hits off this album. Interstate Love Song was probably one of the bigger ones. Vaseline was a big one. Pretty Penny, Big Empty was the biggest one. Unglued. There's a song on here called Still Remains, and I'm going to go ahead and bring that up, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat since I don't want to get taken down. It's my favorite Stone Temple Pilot song, period. And I'm going to put that in here so you guys get a sense of where I'm going with. And this is from the original slide. So it has a lot of great guitar work. It has a lot of great tempo changes. They came out, I would consider them post-grunge. Because they released their first album in 1992, so they were technically there, but they didn't reach their height until 1990. The late 90s, after the grunge era was declining, and after what many people consider to be the end of grunge, with Kurt Cobain passing away. So I put that in the chat. That is my favorite Stone Temple Pilots. The lyrics in that song, um, are some of the deepest lyrics. And when you think of what he was going through, it's a song about depression. It's a lot of these guys were going through shit in the mid '90s. Still remains one of the lyrics and it's about depression. It's about loss. The writer of that song has lost someone or is about to lose someone, and they can't imagine being on being left behind without them. So they're ready to go as well. And one of the lines in there is one of the most poignant lines I've ever heard. If you should die before me, ask if you can bring a friend. So it's these guys that were writing this stuff in the '90s. Their motivations were real, and they were based on what they were going through at the time. Even though they had this money, they were on tour, they were doing all these things. Any one of us would be like, "Wow, this is a great life." They were also doing a lot of drugs. And they were also self-medicating. They were also dealing with their depression and any other ailment they had with drugs. And at this level of their careers, they had access to a lot. And when you try to better yourself and come down, now you're dealing without the drugs, and you're caught up in that low. And then this is, it gave us great music, but it did a lot of damage. When you look at the people from this era that we've covered that have released albums, Eddie Vedder is about the only one around. Soundgarden, Chris Cornell is gone. Blind Melon, Shannon Hoon is gone. Alice in Chains, Lane Staley is gone. I can't think of too many, and there's a lot more that weren't that famous that were all caught up in that. And when you understand where the music is coming from and what they had access to, I enjoy the lyrics of Purple, but man, in 2015 when he passed away, I could completely, I look at his songs just like Chris Cornell. I look at these songs differently now, but Purple was a really, really good album, and each song on it is different. When you go from Meat Plow all the way down to Army Ants, Army Ants is different than a lot of songs I've ever heard anywhere else, let alone on a Stone Temple Pilots album. It doesn't fit, but it does. And you could say that about all their songs on Purple. They don't fit, but they do. They all have a theme about them that binds every track, all 11 tracks together. Even the Big Empty, which was the one that, like I said, most people became aware of Stone Temple Pilots after. These are all, deep songs from people that were going through deep things. But like I said, Still Remains. If you want to know what this album embodies, like I said, it is about a person who is either obsessed or in love with a person that he can't deal without. Or a lot of people have come to me and said it may be a metaphor for addiction. That they can't live, they can't they can't imagine being on Earth without their fix. I mean, I think that's a little bit imaginative, but when you look at a lot of the lyrics that were coming about from 1987 to maybe the late 90s, a lot of these albums are overtly written about what they were doing. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. I will defend this theory to the day that every other song, if not every song about alcohol or Appetite for Destruction, was either about drugs, prostitution, or both. Rocket Queen is about both. Mr. Brownstone is about heroin. And like I said, as a kid, I didn't really get all that, and as I grew into adulthood, I'm like, oh shit. And a lot of artists do this. But when it comes to grunge or when it comes to post grunge and postmodern, they weren't, they were doing more than just writing about it. It was not just the drugs or anything in the culture that was around. It was their own demons that they were dealing with, and a lot of these songs are about it. So I really did love this album. Like I said, my favorite Stone Temple Pilots song is on there. Go ahead.
Yeah, and what you're saying there is kind of reminds me a little bit too about, because again, it's not uncommon for a lot of rock stars to deal with things like addiction, things like that. And One I was thinking about back to when you said that was Soundgarden, Blow Up the Outside World.
Yeah.
I think you definitely read a lot into that.
Oh, and Fell on Black Days. When you take a look at Fell on Black Days, that's a very, very deep song that once he committed suicide, I had a different lens to view that song through with. With the lyrics in that song to me are, I don't want to say a suicide note, but it's tough to listen to after he passed away. It's really tough to listen to after he passed. A lot of his music, pretty noose. I mean, given the way he committed suicide, I can't listen to the
Yeah.
song "Pretty Noose"
A
without.
lot of Kurt Cobain, like with the Nirvana, I mean, damn near everything he wrote probably hits differently in the aftermath of his suicide.
It made, you know what a lot of his lyrics, not very many people got, but they came together a lot more. You may not have completely understood In Utero and everything else, but you had a better, at least psychological understanding of where he was coming from. Even if you didn't get the lyrics, you got the pain and angst that was coming out of that universe. In Utero was an album of pain.
Yeah,
It was an
yeah,
album of pain, and like I said, it's out there for people to interpret and read in any way they want to. His death puts it in a different book than it would if he were still here,
yeah,
because there's no Kurt Cobain to explain exactly what was going on in
yeah.
those albums. So that is why don't forget Pretty News. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Diamond Rope, Silver Chains.
Yeah, that is.
What you got me hanging on. It's just, and you hear it now, and then I'm like, that was a suicide letter, 20 some odd years in the making.
Yeah.
Interstate Love Song, like I said, Pretty Penny is good, but like I said, the best two songs on the album, in my opinion, are you got Kitchenware Candy. I'm going to go ahead and put Army Ants, if it'll take me there.
Yeah,
Army Ants.
what I just said about Soundgarden, Blow Up the Outside World. I mean, I think they let me pull up the Wikipedia page. And by the way, that song actually plays during the Superman and Lois season finale, or when during the Doomsday fight with the Superman and the Doomsday. I thought that added a lot of atmosphere to it. Definitely made it a pretty awesome battle. But yeah, I got it right up here. When asked about when he really wanted to blow up the outside world, Chris Cornell said at the time, "So it doesn't encroach on me, you can hibernate and not have to worry about it." So yeah, that definitely you can read into that, especially with again the unfortunate tragedy that would eventually befall him.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to, and I put Army Ants into the chat. I was supposed to see. No, I don't. I think Kurt Cobain killed Cobain. I was supposed to see STP when they were out here with Metallica, and because of a drug overdose or a drug issue with Lane Staley, and this is back in 1994, 1995, he wasn't able to be at the concert, which sucked. I never got to see them live after that. Not with the Lane Staley thing. So I put Army Ants in there. See Nine Inch Nails, Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails, A Perfect Jug was one of the best drum solos of any song, by the way. There was a lot of great drum work from that album. Nine Inch Nails, A Perfect Jug. I think the lead singer of the band said he wrote that about his addiction to cocaine and opioids. Okay, no, I haven't heard that one, but it sounds, it lines up. So I jerk, especially considered, so yeah. Trent, Eddie, and Dave are still around. Yeah. Well, Dave Grohl, I consider, at the time he was part of Nirvana. But yeah, as part of Foo Fighters a few years later, then yeah, of course he's still around, and he saw he saw some shit during that era. So all right, so my coffee is my tea.
And Dave Grohl, he's just one of the greatest vocalists of all time.
He's very underrated, and I think he would have eventually formed his own band because bands break up. But I don't know how the death of Nirvana affected the kind of music that he was writing. But he's great on everything. He's great on drums. He's great on guitar. He's great on lyrics. Foo Fighters. One of the best songs that my favorite songs ever is "The Best of You." Someone getting the best of you. I don't. There's never a mood that I'm not ready to listen to that song. Well, maybe we might cover Cover, color, and the shape. One of these days. I can't talk to you days. I'm really. Yeah. But like I said, it's been a very good day. But it's very we reached the $8,000 goal. That's I think once we get past all the jokes and we get past all this, the silliness that is Scary Movie and all the angst and all that. What we've done here with, like I said, this microscopic following, just you guys. It's basically you guys. It's you guys, and the people we have following us. I don't have as many people as some of these guys have. And for us to be able to broadcast this signal out and get this far with it and get this loud with it is something that I wish I could bottle up for everything else that we accomplish. But this is good. I mean, even our views are up. I mean, like I said, we were averaging 1,000 a week. We are, like I said, subscriber rise. We'll be crossing past 380 pretty soon. We're actually gaining a certain amount of subscribers. So, like I said, we're the little train that's going uphill, but we're making it. We're not stopping. And with this charity, like I said, it's not just a symbol of us being able to raise money. It's a symbol of what this little channel can do, and it's not just all about the subscriptions and stuff like that. I love the fact that we have that many people following us, and I want more. But we're doing a lot with very little. Nobody knows who the fuck we are. And here we are at 8,000 and headed into a very realistic 10,000 here in less than 2 months. So, all right, I'm going to go check on my guest and go ahead and.
All right, I'll go back to chat.
I'll be right back.
Okay, guys, back to the chat. Let me hold on a second. Let me get this all going. Okay, see, Brad. Let's be honest. I think fans got overly excited. The studio never promised that Henry is going to be back for Black Adam. No. To me, I hear that brought up a lot, that they didn't have a contract signed in place, but that's a distinction without a difference as far as I'm concerned. Because I mean, they went. I mean, they had Henry make the announcement. He was doing interviews left and right saying, "I'm back." They had every social media channel, Warner Brothers and DC, welcoming him back. They were internally hearing pitches for Man of Steel 2, so they were clearly planning to do more with him at the time, and they very clearly wanted the rest of the world to know that as well. So, yeah, I don't subscribe to that at all. This was something that fans were excited for that was cut off at the knees, and people would have every right to feel upset and angered and bitter and unfulfilled by that. Let's see. It'll be interesting if they stick with the DCU. I trust James Gunn and Safran more than anyone who's ever been in charge, but I don't think anyone trusts it. Yeah, exactly. Taking all this, if you just looked at it in isolation, James Gunn, obviously he's got a great track record, as far as like success and whatnot with the Guardians franchise. So just on its own, if that's all we were talking about, if all this stuff hadn't happened preceding it, and we just DCC was established, he was the guys running it, yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. But just the path of how we've gotten here is what is weighing all of this down, and what is making so many people, myself included, reluctant to get on board this train when you just threw me off the last train I was on. And it was a train that was, was taking me to the magical land of Oz, as far as I was concerned. So, but yeah, I agree with you, man. It's like Warner, and again, Warner Brothers. All this, this is like 95% self-inflicted by Warner Brothers. They have done almost all of this to themselves, and they have nobody to blame but themselves for it. With this, the state of the company and the public perception that they're in now. Avatar: Last Airbender YouTube channels, but yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, that they're playing a marathon of the original show. So obviously that's kind of in commemoration of the Netflix show. So yeah, if you're an Avatar fan, go check that out in the Avatar YouTube channel. Or if you're not, go check it out if you want to see the show through. But it's also, of course, on they have Avatar, not just the new one, but also the original show on Legend of Korra. They have that both on Netflix and on Paramount Plus. So either there or on their YouTube channel, and give it a look. It's awesome. I got Aaron into it. I'm gonna get the rest of you into it. You will all see the light soon on Avatar. What do you mean? Oh my God, it's Brad. Were you not expecting me tonight? You think I wasn't going to make it? You think I was going to make it to scary movie? Listen, guys, I could do this all day. Okay. Dick Tracy and Captain. Yeah, Dick Tracy is pretty awesome. Yeah, the Warren Beatty one. It's that's also got a very distinctive flair to it because it's like almost entirely in primary colors. There was one here I wanted to. What else we got? Brad, I also think the reason why fans couldn't get behind the Batman of Robert Pattinson was not just because it wasn't Affleck, but also, yeah, but that's coming off of Twilight, yeah, but that's a bullshit. That's
well, no, hold on, they got behind the Batman. 770 million is nothing to.
Well, but I get what he's saying, where it's like that you still had like a lot of people saying, "Oh, like it's the Twilight guy coming up." But yeah, but that's just I never took that seriously.
But that's like saying Heath Ledger can only do Brokeback Mountain in First Night.
And people had the same thing with Ben Affleck when he was cast. They thought, oh, the Daredevil guy, and I didn't even think the Daredevil movie was that bad. But
I thought that movie was horrible. But no, it's nobody's fault. It was just a bad plan. Listen. You gotta judge. The biggest thing I think that if you can call it hurting Batman at 70 million was just the fact that where the fuck is the last guy that I paid to see? And they don't even have to be you or me. It's like, wait a minute, that's not the last guy I see. Where am I? Am I ever going to get that in that time? So there's that, and they never really did a good job of making that. But as far as like what it drew, it didn't cost that much to make. Batman movies can be relatively cheap because
the budget did go up, but I think it started like 100 million. It ended up being 2, but that was
for Batman.
But part of that was, they had to shut down for COVID like 3 times while they were making it. I mean, they really went through hell trying to get that movie across the finish line.
Well, it's the same thing with Dead Reckoning. I mean, Dead Reckoning had to. Yeah. Oh yeah! Wow, I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, but
185 to 200 million.
Yeah, but initially I think the budget was just 100. So, and like you could 90.
It was 90. That time I looked at it.
Yeah, and you could do a Batman movie because again you have less of an emphasis on superpowers and things like that.
You could do Clayface, the version of Clayface.
Yeah, but for the most part, you could like Ben Affleck's Batman script. I bet you could do that for just 100 even.
Yeah. And by the way, if Warner Brothers doesn't get out of a debt, you might see that movie sooner or later. And here's another thing about new ownership. This is one thing that would be damning for me. This would lose me altogether. Is if they bought the company and they just didn't have value in the IPs and they did permanently license them out like a Sony situation. Yep. I don't mind limitedly licensing it out, but if you give up ownership of those characters to somebody else because you don't think they're valuable anymore, that's a problem. I don't think that would ever happen, but it's a possibility that just is like, see, all these things hanging over the head of these things is just like I said, I mean, it's like, all out of arm's length, but when it comes to Pattinson, I don't think would hurt. Like I said, would hurt them is just it was gonna hurt every DC movie from a certain point on, from like about 20. That's not the Joker or not Aquaman, because to be honest with you, Aquaman got a lot of exposure in a Justice League movie, even though it was a bad Justice League movie. It's still
imagine how much better the Aquaman solo movie would have done if we got the real JL first.
But it made $1 billion based on a lot of exposure from that, So it's that movie's money making wasn't necessarily on its own; it was part of a conglomerate. And you look at Joker. Remember, we promoted Joker. There was a lot of hype around Joker as far as the violence and the terrorist attacks. There was a lot of. It's a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of circumstances that we've never had going into a DC movie that we had for Joker, and a lot of people who were not. I had a lot of people through my door that were coming in and grabbing passes. You think this is going to happen at the movie thing? I'm like, why are you going to a movie to see people possibly get shot up? And it was because of the whole Aurora thing. The violence that was in the movie just 6 years after, a movie where a guy dressed up as a Joker came in and shot up a theater. That was a lot of the aura around that movie. And I that's horrible. The fact that the curiosity around that movie was for those things instead of the actual movie itself. And I think that helped it. I don't think that was the deciding factor, but I think the hype around Joker and the aura of the real death that happened around a guy wearing white makeup played a significant part in it.
Well, you add, I mean, controversy always, like, I mean, this, as cynical as this sounds, I mean, controversy always benefits, any kind of capitalistic endeavor. I mean, whether we want to admit that or not, it's like, controversy sells. Controversy absolutely sells.
Yeah, curiosity. I do not think James Gunn was there doing the JO reshoots. He wasn't even employed by DC at the time, unless he was just there as a friend. I don't know.
What's the what are you reading there?
You scrape it. Hold on, something was.
I need more Brander out. Yeah, no, I agree. It's like I would love to see the, him continue, and again in an Elseworlds, kind of a send off story with his Superman. Again, he was great in the Kingdom Come suit. He was great overall. He really
like I said before. I've seen enough of him, and I'm glad. And nothing against him. I'm glad he got his thing, but there's nothing about his Superman or nothing about his appearances that say let's go further. I got what I got. I was okay with what I got there.
Yeah, he's Affleck. Charles Austin says it was the most deceitful, duplicitous thing I've ever encountered from studio concerning the fans we spent our money with. Yeah, exactly. Anybody going into the DCU now, or anybody saying I'm not going to go into DCU now, or it's like going into it with feelings of jadedness or feelings of having their time wasted or having their hopes crushed or having what they were into unfulfilled and cut off at the knees and ripped away from them. I can't argue against that logic. I can't argue against the reasoning that Warner Brothers tore your heart out and stomped on it, because they absolutely, positively, 1000% did do that on multiple occasions, in fact. So,
yeah. And I'll speak on behalf of the average fan that we deal with all the time. Is you walked away and you spent 5, 6, 7 years walking away from a product. Can you even hear when they make a difference? Just because something changes when you've moved out of the state, doesn't matter what happens in that state. They had you for a lot of time, and you just don't hear it. Right now, the problem with DC is there's no reason for anybody to really, to check back in on the signal anymore, because nothing's been going on. And everybody who tells you that Superman Legacy is going to be this or that is pretty much. They're hoping that it was. Listen, I hope a fucking stork comes in here and drops a bag of $1 million in it, but that doesn't mean that's going to happen. I mean, nobody has any real evidence that this is going to be any good. You can hope that it's great, and that's great. I'm not going to stomp on your hope, but when it comes to whether it will be or not, you got an hour, not an hour. You got 16 months or so to figure that out.
Yeah, but now this is actually very pertinent also, not to our DC talk tonight, but to our post-scary movie discussion that Aaron has for me. What spoof movies do you like, Brad? That's a good question. Obviously, I think my personal number one of all time is Young Frankenstein, or I should say Young Frankenstein. Yeah, that's I love Young Frankenstein. Dracula Dead and Loving It, I'll defend to my dying day. Mel Brooks, of course, he's kind of the kid. Robin Hood Men in Tights. I love Robin Hood Men in Tights too, with Carrie Elways. That's, in fact, maybe I should. Yeah, there's something else I was thinking of.
It's up to whether people care. At this point, this late in the game, it's up to whether people care. Whether people care. And like I said, when it comes to Superman in general, without Batman being like right alongside, and you're starting over again, their marketing campaign, first of all, this shit should have already fucking started already. But on that note, it just really, like I said, you guys in the chat and on the internet care. That's great. I wouldn't be able to pay, this Ring camera bill on that. Do the masses still care about this after such a lapse in time? And the fact that, once again, if you're going to put Superman out there on its own, does he still resonate with the culture? I've explained over and over again why Batman's their bigger moneymaker than Superman is, and how it's really risky to start this in 2024 to start your universe with a character that a lot of people just don't connect with right now. Could it work? Sure, but like I said, but even if it does, until I see who the new boss is, I'm just like, okay, great, you made a good movie. Where's my fucking universe?
By the way, yeah, that's true. But also, this is maybe a pertinent question too. Before I get to that, let me kind of finish up with Aaron's question about spoof movies I like. Because I listed Young Frankenstein, I listed Dracula Dead and Loving It, Robin Hood Men in Tights. A lot of the Mel Brooks ones I love. Of course, a lot like The Naked Gun. Those are really good. It's would you classify Black Dynamite as a spoof? With Michael J. White, because I think you could make an argument either way.
No,
but yeah, because I've heard
it did spoof. It actually was.
It is a blaxploitation movie. Yeah. So yeah, but I've had that question in my head for a while. But going back to spoofs, I like what's another good example? Yeah, Spaceballs. Like the Hot Shots movies. Yeah, kind of like the classic era spoof movies. Those are ones I actually like. But the modern era, they have been for the most part dog shit.
Regarding my comic book talk, live action. So you're one of the absolutists. You know what? Once again, you guys are going to get nowhere with this, and I'm sorry to tell you that. You guys are going to get nowhere with this. And I'll read your comment. Live action or nothing. I get it. You're biased in comics. No, that's not just why. I mean, yes, I'm biased, but that has nothing to do with why I think that you should get this done first, and I'll explain why. So I don't care. That's false. There's plenty of evidence out there. Just watch the old videos and see how much I care. But I do. I saw Dark Seed in frames per second, not pages per minute. Okay, you're going to get nowhere with this. You guys can want this all you want. I want it with you. I agree with you, Charles. But once again, and I when I said this afternoon, people weren't fucking listening. People were talking over me, obviously, because that's what we do on our things. That's fine. You cannot get to the moon on a bicycle. What you want doesn't mean shit. I repeat, what you want doesn't mean shit. I'll say it a third time. What you want, and I'm not picking on you in particular. This is just out there. What you want doesn't mean shit. What you can get done means everything. Right now, you guys are fighting this war with nothing. You're fighting with your fist and hands up against a ninja with a sword. That's what you're doing right now with this. You have nothing to fight with, but your desire for it. I feel that desire. I understand. But you got to take one step at a time and get the story out there. You will never get this without a first step. This will never happen. I understand. I want to see him. Dude, if you gave me the offer of the live action resolution versus anything else, damn sure I'm going to take the live action. I do care. And yes, I am biased, but that doesn't mean anything in regards to the practicality of this ever happening. If you want this to happen, you have to speak the language of the people you want something from. You have to make this a viable story that they see as something that is profitable and something that is a draw. Right now, you don't have shit. We don't have shit. All we have is us wanting it. That is not shit. You have to start with a step one, and you put the story out there. Because right now we're speaking in phantoms. Oh, I want it because I want it. That ain't nobody's gonna listen to that. You put this story out there and it becomes a draw, and you let it go from there. At certain point, some different leadership sees different things. We're about to have different leadership with this company real fucking soon. So you don't know what the next generation guy, the younger guy, the guy who probably has a little bit more connection to these IPs because he grew up with them, and not this nearly 70-year-old man that only knows them in vagues, So, but without a story out there, you don't have shit. We don't have anything. You have your desire and your want for this. But I'm saying if you want to ever get this going, you have to show the viability and the attractiveness, not only with this as comic book geeks, but in general to everybody, because speculator buyers count.
And William, count. Well, and to kind of interject a little bit there, William, because with everything you're saying, now to also add a bit to that, because you're talking about, the fandom needs some kind of currency in terms of putting the story out there, or the marketability or the commercial viability of it out there. And this is where I kind of go back to, the rumor, again, should still be treated as a rumor very much, but the recent rumor that Warner Bros. May be considering an IMAX release for the movie. And, which again, we have not had any kind of wide theatrical run for ZSJL, but assuming that does happen, is that not also a means for the fandom or for the general public to show the viability of this?
Anything that gets revenue on the table of the people that you're asking from. And by the way, I didn't mean that to be picking on you, Charles Austin, because I hear this over and over again. So when I say something, it's not particular. I understand, Charles. I'm with you. I am 100%.
And by the way, I think this is the first we've seen him in the chat. So welcome aboard to the side by side, Charles.
I think I've seen him. So if Charles, coming from somebody who's 100% on your side on this, now where do we go? I'm with you, right? So where do we go? What do we do to show these people, how this is viable, how this can become a phenomenon, and what's the most cost-effective way to do it? These are comic book characters. Staples and papers doesn't cost anything. This allows them to get that story out there for pennies, with no risk, no hundreds of millions of dollars, and them worrying about, I don't know, I don't know if we want to take the risk. The 30 cents it costs to make a comic, or whatever it costs, it's very cheap. We get the story out there. We see how the sales go. And if it becomes a phenomenon, now you have something to fight with. You're no longer fighting the ninja with your bare hands. You got a fucking kabuki sword, and you can go kick his ass now with these numbers you have. But right now, we don't have shit. We don't have shit but a bunch of noise. And that noise does damage when it's not productive and not aimed in the right way. So Charles and everybody out there who obviously, I prefer that too. But as a means to an end, let's take the first step. Let's get to the moon. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, on that note, because I was also about to ask a little bit about the merger talk. Well, first of all, if we got any more topics left, I think with just Dune, we're getting to in a minute. But before we get to that, because I did have a kind of a question, relating to the merger talk. Now, there probably isn't like a standard, one size fits all kind of answer to this, but in terms of mergers, like once they are initiated. Maybe to give like the viewers a bit of a little bit of a idea of like how these things work, like big corporate mergers, like usually how long does it take from like the beginning, the inception of it to the finalization of it? Because
6 to 9 months.
Okay.
6 to 9 months is
because it took I think it took about a year for the Warner's Discovery and even like the Warner's AT&T one to really kind of be finalized, because I mean obviously those are those are you're talking.
You had a lot of debt assumption too.
Yeah, and you're talking about obviously like much bigger verticals than a lot of mergers tend to be. But that's a question that's kind of been on my mind and probably a lot of people's minds. It's like, what's the time frame when you're doing corporate mergers, like when they begin versus when it's it's complete?
Usually, like I said, depending on how much the prep goes, because a lot of the negotiations happen before the merger's announced, so you got to add that time to it too. But with Warner Brothers, you had a lot of debt and a lot of devaluation. You had to do a lot of to get that negotiated. All right, sounds to me like we're continuing to crawl with our hands and knees just to get some comic ending when we shouldn't have it. I agree with you, dude. I agree. We shouldn't have to do this. But once we get past the fact that the injustice that was kind of done by fucking morons, now becomes the question of, do we want this resolution? Do we want any type of resolution? I understand. I 100%, trust me, Charles, I'm with you as far as we got fucked. But you got to put that aside. Now we have the new question. Would you rather go with no resolution at all that can either give us a part of the story or lead to something else, to lead to something you might want to see, a cartoon or actually the movie? Because how many times has a comic done bonkers and shit? We got a movie out of Atomic Blonde. So
which was called the Coldest City in comic form.
And Road to Perdition. So there's people adapting this stuff every day, but now you've given them ammo. Anybody who's fighting alongside with us has no ammo right now. We got to crawl. You know why we got to crawl? Because if we stand up, we don't have anything to keep us from getting our heads taken off. So once again, I understand you. Everybody who's felt that we understand you, but it's a different level now. What do we want to get out of this? How do we get it? What's the most logical step we get it? Because like I said, before you walk, you got to crawl too. But I understand we should not have to do any of this stuff. I 100% agree with you. But do you want do you want to ever get to the point that we all want to get to? That's what I'm asking. So.
Anthony Brad, what are your thoughts in the comment about how I see the merger playing out? I don't think I saw that comment. Can you go ahead and type it again so I can pull it up? Just go ahead and type it again for me real quick, man. I'll pull it up for you. Let's see what else we got in the chat here.
Where's my fucking piece? Sound like Droga.
I just don't understand. This is Chappie. I don't understand why Warner Bros. Don't just do an animation comic. Well, again, as we were kind of wondering the other night, we were talking about the whole Jim Lee and Joe Manganiello news recently, and yeah, that's the thought I keep going to, because apparently there having been conversations, and also apparently Zack Snyder had some at one point about doing comic book stories, but yeah, again, like what keeps stopping that from happening too is my big question. If there have been discussions of it, what's the holdup? What's the roadblock?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Especially because William had said it's like it really would be Jim Lee would be like the main guy to make the call on that. So yeah, it's a really it's a question I don't have an answer for. So I don't have this verbatim, but I think he'd mentioned something about it when he was on one of Film Junkie's Vodka streams. He talked about doing like a comic book story that involved the Joker in the Nightmare stealing one of the mother boxes from from Darkseid's base. Was going to power the cosmic treadmill, send Flash back in time to undo the Nightmare. So, and again, I couldn't tell you offhand when it was the time frame when the movie came out, but I couldn't like pull it offhand. The interview. So, but yeah, apparently that was some. And again, Zach and then Joe. It's my question is like, okay. And it, of course, makes you wonder, were there any discussions on the film side? If there were discussions on the comic side, were there any discussions on the animation side? So, yeah, what keeps blocking this from happening when it's something that the company themselves call a global phenomenon? That's my question. Yes, that's pretty much where we kind of stand, Spider-Man. You got to, story's got to end. Story's got to get the ending it deserves. Question: do you think James Gunn's gonna have to deal with Cavill fans? I think he's gonna have to deal with a lot more than Cavill fans. I think he's gonna have to deal, as William has said, it's like Cavill fans, Snyder fans, actively pissed off, but also then you have the general audience, who's William has said, they're the people who are their patience has been exhausted to the point where they'll just get up and leave without making a stink about it. That's what you're really gonna have to deal with. That's the problem. That's gonna be the big problem. They're gonna have to deal with it is they have burned so many bridges, not just with the hardcore fans, but also with the general audience. That's what you got to work around on this, because of how much you start something. The studio has started something up DC wise and then just ended it prematurely. That is their real challenge. But I do think he's going to have to deal with that. I just don't think that. I think it's going to be voluminous. I think it's going to be definitely visible. Very visible from Cavill fans and Snyder fans, but I think ultimately the unseen problem is the general audience. Is like, how much are they willing to just give Warner Brothers just chance after chance after chance with starting a new one, anything DC related now. So it's kind of where I think William and I mutually stand on that. So let me go ahead and get some more of your comments here. This is why I love William. Talks from a business viability point of view. Yeah. Absolutely. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to business. What else we got? Oh, I think this is the one you were talking about, Anthony. William, I think. I'll pull this back up when William comes back on. Kabuki sword. Yeah, I was kind of chuckling when he said that too. What else we got? Yeah, just bear with me, guys. I'm checking out a lot of you were talking to each other too. Hey, Brad, did you know the Avatar last? Yes, I have seen this, and this pleases me greatly. I am very happy with that news. So bring on, when are we going to get that news for, book 2 being adapted now for, and of course, with that comes Toph Beifong. I cannot wait for that news, Aaron, because again, they as William says, math is undefeated, and the math is very, very favorable toward Netflix's live action reboot of Avatar right now. So yes, very happy with that news. How well it's doing. What else we got? Brad, I thought of a short story where my version of Superman meets Snyder's Superman, and he tells him about the battle with Darkseid, how Batman died, and how he's. Oh, cool, man! That sounds pretty cool. Definitely, I think you should put that down so people can read it. Should definitely get that out there, man. Kind of like what William's saying, get the story out there. So, Cavill fans are nothing compared to Toxic. Oh God, yeah. It's yeah. I mean, just the way people, Superman fans, and I am a Superman fan, but just the way so many just white knuckle onto Christopher Reeve. And I'm not saying his performance is not iconic, and I'm not saying that that he didn't help kickstart the modern superhero movie era, but also, I mean, guys, I mean, look back on it. I mean, 2 out of 4 of the Superman movies he was in were shit. I mean, come on. I mean, the original Superman and Superman 2, those are the good ones. Quest for Peace, I look at as the one that could have been good, if not for like a lot of bad circumstance. I do think it's at a conceptual level, it's better than it gets credit for. I think Nuclear Man could have been a much better villain had they fleshed him out more. Even worked him into the comics eventually. So Quest for Peace, again, it's like it's bad, but it could have been great if not for bad circumstance. And Superman 3 is anyone who tells you Quest for Peace is the worst Superman movie. No, I'm sorry, you're mistaken. It's Superman 3. That is the worst Superman movie ever made. So yeah, that's where as far as like the toxicity and again, I you don't want to play it with a broad brush either. It's like I'm sick of that as a Snyder's and Cavill Superman fan, the broad brush on that. So I won't do that with the people who their favorite Superman is Christopher Reeve either. But just the gatekeeping on that, where it's like if it's not Reeve Redux, we won't accept it. I mean, this is why we can't get anywhere with Superman cinematically. Yeah, we just got to accept that, just like the comics, it's like there are different interpretations of Superman, and we got to stop with this mindset that, again, any one filmmaker is like if they're not giving you the version of the character you like, that they actively hate Superman. Yeah. Yeah, and even like Aaron's kind of said a little bit earlier on the Man of Steel stream, it's like, the original 78 Superman, it's like you look at, I mean, Reeve is great in it, but you look at it now, it's like I remember doing a marathon of the original 4 and Superman Returns before Man of Steel came out, and it was the first time I had seen 78 in a while, and I remember thinking at the time, it's like my feelings were a lot more mixed on it than I thought they were going to be on 78, because it is I mean, it's definitely a product of its time. It's got, I mean, phenomenal elements to it. It's got that still hold up to this day with the the origin story and the Fortress of Solitude and the epic scope of it for its time. And but there are elements, particularly with Lex Luthor and Otis. I mean, there are elements to it that are really goofy by today's standards and would not fly. A lot of that would not, comic movie fans would not be as enamored with probably today. And then Superman 2, that's the best of the Christopher Reeve ones. Really, either version. I do have a lean towards the Donner cut, but that is the best Christopher Reeve Superman movie. And part of it is because I am such a General Zod fan. I love that he's one of my favorite Superman villains. Probably the favorite. That's like, because I love Zod so much. So, but yeah. Definitely with you on that, Brad. I'm sorry, that's kind of a long-winded answer there, guys, but I didn't think it was going to be actually as long as that was there. But yeah, totally with you, man. If it was up to them, yeah, exactly. I agree with you, man. And for the record, listen, I didn't have any beef with the deep fake Christopher Reeve cameo in the Flash movie. It's like, that wasn't I think when the dust settles, people are there's gonna be a lot less consternation about that overall, because I do really really like the Flash movie. That was great. But yeah, I think the moral panic about that is maybe overblown. And really, it's like for me, like if any problem, to the extent I had a problem with that, it was really more so that just that Brandon Routh is the modern continuation of Christopher Reeve. So it's like, why didn't you just bring him into that cameo? Especially because he got the job partially because he looks so much like Christopher Reeve. But yeah, it's like there's so many, there are a lot of Superman fans who just want it. If it's not Reeve, it doesn't count, and you got to get out of that mindset. I mean, Superman was around long before Christopher Reeve. He would be around long after. That doesn't mean Christopher Reeve. It's like his contribution to the Superman mythos is still invaluable. It absolutely is invaluable. But again, you can't just boil it down to that. You could definitely have that be your number one interpretation of it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It is for a lot of people. I have no problem with that. But the idea that it should be the be all and end all cinematically and on television in any adaptation, it's like, this is why we have these long stretches where we get a new Superman movie and then people are split down the middle on it, and then the studio panics and then they reboot a few years later. And it goes back to, it's like, the segment of the fan base just will, for people who tell Snyder fans to move on, they certainly can't move on from Christopher Reeve. So yeah, totally with you there, man. Okay, didn't mean to go so long on that, guys. What else we got? Sorry, just checking out a lot of your comments here. I didn't think it was the worst. Again, I think because again, it's because Brandon Routh was so anchored to be, he was playing Christopher Reeve playing Superman. It's just really just in hindsight that, I mean, the idea of like branching off from Superman 2 and doing a modern continuation, it's like, it's a good idea on paper, but I think probably a lot of the ways they went about it just maybe kind of anchored him to Christopher Reeve so much he really couldn't get out from the shadow of that, which was unfortunate because again, he really really shined, I think, in Crisis on Infinite Earths. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was the worst. It's got some awesome moments, and it's got the like the plane rescue, and when he's when the earthquake happens in Metropolis and he's saving people, from all from what Lex has set off at the Kryptonite island he created, and then when he lifts the Kryptonite island, throws it in space. Yeah, it's got some awesome Superman moments in it, or even just the part when he's in space listening to everybody. And flies down, stops the bank robbery, and the bullet just accordions against his eyeball. Or when he just flies up into the sun to re-strengthen himself. It's got fantastic moments in it. It's got fantastic Superman moments in it. So yeah, again, I Man of Steel again is my number one by far Superman solo movie, and Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, ZSGL. Those are my, my personal favorites comic movies ever made. And it'll change maybe like how I'm feeling of where I would rank all those three. But yeah, Superman Returns. Yeah, it's not the worst. Okay, so it was a lot of Superman talk while you were away.
Not Superman and Batman is a guy. Listen, the best way to package Superman into something that you can actually make some money off of is to make sure Batman is near him, because I think the contrast of what they are and what they mean to the world is the best storytelling you're ever.
Yeah, it's almost like you should have them have the greatest gladiator match in the history of the world.
It's just a matter of right now it's Batman. Will it always be that way? No, maybe we won't always be a cynical society, but right now we are. So
the Superman they lead is a great Superman story, to be clear. That's a great Superman animated movie too.
Yeah, Charles, like I said, dude, I am in I'm in the trench with you. I'm just trying to figure out if I want that particular story ever told again. I gotta start with me, because when I walk into the office and say, hey, make this fucking, you started it, fucking finishes, you dipshits. But my hands are empty.
And that indignation is wholly justified, to be clear.
Yeah. But when I walk into there with these comic sales and a bunch of people who aren't in the comics buying this phenomenon because we turned it into something like the Jockalopes or the Jersey Devil type of mythology. And I come in there with that, and now I got a better chance of getting the next step. But like I said, I have nothing to fight with right now, and it gets harder with each day that goes on. And I think, like I said, these new movies that come out are going to make it even harder because if, say, for instance, they just do okay, that's a bellwether that people just don't care at the moment. That's the one thing that you might run into that we haven't even talked about is that people just might not care about these characters for a while.
Because while you were away, Chappie asked, "Is Gunn going to have to deal with the anger and the frustration of Cavill fans and Snyder fans?" And I said, "Yeah, that's definitely going to be there. But the real problem you're going to have is general audience apathy."
Yeah, us 3%. Ah, dude, this. You know what? As much money as I pay for this fucking ring light, I cough on it, and it doesn't stand up anymore. But anyway, not that you need a brighter version of me anyway. No, us 3%er ain't gonna. We're not gonna move the dial like that, like what is needed. I mean, he'll have, we're significant, and I'm not even saying me because I'm a Cavill fan, but I might go, see this movie. I'm not gonna not support this movie, and I think that not everybody who is an extremist, all or nothing, is representative of the people who are upset. Half of those people still might go see this movie. I'm upset about how this thing happened, but once again, I have an issue with the management. I have an issue with David Zaslav, how he structured things. How can I be mad at James Gunn because somebody else gave him parameters that he may not have should have had at the outset? You basically screwed him when you did that. You basically said, instead of cutting this right here, this is where you start, this is where you begin. You put him in control of things that he probably shouldn't be in control of, and now he has that. Even if he asks for it, you got to understand, you got to look out for the people you're going to spend this money for, because now he has the weight and the blame, whether right or wrong, for a bunch of stuff that he really had nothing to do with, but you put him in charge of it. And that's the problem. They should have never, like I said before this afternoon, DCU, whatever James Gunn is over is what he created. The stories he created with these characters, that's his universe. The leftover stuff, he needed to not touch that, because once he touched it, it became toxic for no good reason other than that he's the new guy. So DeLuca, Abby, and Zaslav should have had that shit nailed down, but they were all in a rush. Everybody was in a rush. Nobody was really thinking. Nobody was really planning anything out. You had one group of people saying, telling people this is the route we're going, Cavill and Rock and all this. Meanwhile, you have their boss. While he has them doing that, you have them. You're talking to another guy, and based on his conversation, you basically made irrelevant what you told those people to go do. That's not good management, and that's what caused. I can't blame James Gunn for that. I'm not going to play. I'm never going to blame the employee if the manager is there. It's up to the manager. It's up to the boss. That's why the bosses are the bosses. James Gunn is not the boss. James Gunn couldn't grant himself his parameters. Those were given to him. So I can't blame him for that. But at the same time, yeah, he's going to have a lot of heat. But like I said, the 3%, that it is maybe 4%, it's the apathy. It's, do people care about Superman on his own right now? Now you put him next to the Bat, now you're talking. But if you're going to start with Superman, and then you're going to start with a bunch of obscure characters that people haven't connected with, that's where your biggest thing is. His biggest hurdle is that right now. Because like I said, if we were talking about a world's finest movie, and it wouldn't even matter who the Batman is at this point. Just knowing that Batman is 400 million right now, minimum. 2024, Batman is 400 million minimum in a live action. That's minimum. That's where you start at. Where you get to is up to how good the movie is. But Batman right now, the floor in 2024 is 400 million. So right now, when you put Batman alongside Superman, now you're starting at 400, and now you go from there. But I think Superman on his own, and it's a risky decision to start with a character right now that's not your top moneymaker and may not be the draw that you need him to be to get something kicked off. But you know what? I'm not sitting in that chair, so I would have done it differently. But I'm not James Gunn. I'm a comic book nerd.
And we had a couple of. Let's see if I can find them here. And a little bit of a Flash and / Christopher Reeve discussion here. Where are these comments I was looking at?
Seems like there's a fight going on in the chat. Come on.
Oh yeah. I love the Flash movie. Not a big Zisa guy, despite my being here. And Larry also said love seeing me. Yeah, I think a lot of the consternation and controversy around like the cameos and things like that, I think that's going to die down. You give it enough time, because I mean, the Flash, despite like a lot of the, despite the situation it was released in, it's like all things considered, the Flash is pretty well liked. Again, even with the debate around the cameos, all that. So it's like, I think when the dust settles on that, people are going to look back on that like, yeah, this movie was put into a situation it could not thrive in, and it's a lot better than it's gotten credit for because of that.
Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna read this because you know what's coming, RJ. Except BVS, the actor didn't work for a lot of armies. A lot. It worked for 870 million, and I don't give 3 flying fucks about 70% drop off. When I go to pay my bills, I go with the finished money that I made, not what I made during the first pay period. You know, the first day of the pay period. I go for what I made for all 14 days. So you know, so we don't stop counting till the money stops being made. That's how you do it the smart way. And they weren't smart then. A lot of normies did like it. And what led to all this BS? No, what led to all this BS is not that. What led to all this BS was mismanagement. You had a crew of fucking dummies who did not know what a win was, and they had to learn what loss was before they wrapped their heads around it, and then they were gone.
Yeah. If you can attribute all of this to any one movie, it's JL-17. I mean, it's that simple. It's JL-17 caused all this.
Well, no, but even before JL-17, what caused this was people not knowing what the fuck they were doing in their jobs and not being qualified in their jobs. Not knowing what a win is part of being an executive. You have to know what a win is. You have to know what any business. I don't care what business is. You have to be able to determine what a win and loss was. So the movie that they released, if that would have been another company in a smarter company that understood the circumstances that you were bringing these interpretations of characters with, smarter people would have figured out that was a win. Dumb people didn't. Those people are gone. That's the difference between any of these companies is management. So you can't. People come up with these mythical reasons why, and they want to call Batman vs Superman some kind of failure. I'm like, we've all, come on now. And in the way it's been shaped, you can't call something a failure because bad management didn't know what to do with it. Look at them now; they're popping champagne bottles over a fucking Aquaman movie that barely made it over the finish line after all the money it cost. So I blame the management. And then you had pundits, and you had the tribalistic dummies that were out there that were never going to see the movie, and you had those people in there. But the main part of it was you had a group of people who were too fucking stupid to know what a win was at the time, and they paid for it. They paid the price. They paid the price for being stupid. So I don't, like I said, a lot of people have come up with a lot of folklore around BVS. The bottom line is, when you have dummies who can't count, apparently, and they look at other reasons. And once again, we would have never been having this conversation if the guys driving our Ferrari, as far as DC fans, weren't on the Autobahn rubbernecking it over to the Corvette next to them, trying to see what they're doing. That's what happened. So I respect you, RJ, but I respectfully disagree with that. Yeah. I got a customer to deal with, guys. I'll be right.
Okay. Good. Oh, sorry, I turned my mic off there. I'm sorry, guys. The chat. So, Aaron, I'm so happy with all the love the Avatar actors have been getting on Twitter. It's been amazing. Yes, I agree 100%. It has been, Aaron and I are both just on cloud 9 about how well Avatar is doing on Netflix, how awesome it's turned out. Looking forward to book 2 with Toth. Looking forward to it massively. And yeah, the reception and Yvonne Chapman, like go check out her, because she plays Suki on Avatar. Go check out her Twitter feed, because she's her role is a little bit more compartmentalized on the show. She's so she's able to kind of, she's in the position where, like, being on the show, but also being able to watch most of it just as a fan. And she's been having so much fun with that. she's been just a joy to watch on Twitter, following along with Avatar on Netflix. So check that out if you guys haven't yet. And check out Avatar if you haven't yet. I wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't that. I wasn't that. I wasn't that. I wasn't as enamored with her and Lois Lane, to be perfectly honest. And part of it was because part of it was because they were very young, Routh and Bosworth at the time. They were both like 23, 24 years old. He had a little bit more of an advantage because he had, again, Routh, he looks so much like Christopher Reeve. But yeah, you're continuing from 2, but she looks actively younger in the movie than Margot Kidder did. And so you got a little bit of a continuity sort of weird thing there. And not to say she's not a talented actress, didn't play the role well, but it's just that, it's almost like Lois Lane Jr. and it feels like a little bit in Superman Returns. And I'm not putting that on Kate Bosworth again, but it's kind of
that movie just had a lot of problems.
What I was talking a bit about when you were away the first time is saying it's not the worst because it's got some great Superman moments in it. It's got when he saves the plane, when he does when he
hey, stop listening to that, Bradley, and listen to this, Bradley. Please hit the like and subscribe
I beg your pardon.
Please hit the like and subscribe button. And listen, we're the little guy. Help us become the big guy. Here we go, right there. Perfectly blocking me off and Brad, which is alone a reason to like and subscribe. All right, go ahead, Brad. Sorry about that.
Okay, so as I'm talking, Returns again. As I've said, it's like Man of Steel. It's like it's again my favorite Superman solo movie of all time. But Superman Returns, it's got a lot of great Superman aspects to it. Again, the plane rescue, when the earthquake happens in Metropolis, all the Supermaning he's doing there when he is hovering above the earth and listens in and flies down to the bank robbery and the bullet hits his eye. And
there are certain elements of it that are beautifully done. It's just a movie as a whole. It's like a nostalgia ship that I didn't want to go.
That's the thing. It's so enamored because we were talking about Christopher Reeve and kind of like a sizable segment of Superman fandom just gatekeeps on Christopher Reeve so much that it's like they won't take anything other than Reeve Redux in any Superman adaptation. And that was kind of the problem Returns ran into, is that it was so enamored with the Reeve movies that it had a hard time establishing its own identity and giving Brandon Routh the chance to establish his own identity as Superman.
Yeah, I'm happy that one of the best things to come out of Crisis is he got a better send off.
Yeah.
I don't even see any more of them though, but that's just my opinion. If you guys want to, like I said, these opinions I spew out are only my own. You guys are not wrong by disagreeing with me, which most of you do, which is fine. No, I'm just kidding. Red RJ, campaign and ask for a conclusion to your favorite story, and if the general audience doesn't care, they may be valid for that thinking. But I'll never understand DC fans rooting for things. But you know what? I can understand any fan rooting. I'm not approving of that. I can understand people rooting for something to fail because that's their only outlet. There's only one way to hurt bad management, and that's in the pocketbook. That's it. I'm not saying that's right, but no matter what retail you're talking about, there's only one way to hold bad management accountable. They perceive not only this regime as bad management, but to be honest with you, even though they were a massive improvement on the clown car that preceded them, there have been some missteps and critical mistakes made by the Zaslav administration as well. So when you're a consumer at the base level, once again, not condoning this, but I understand because I understand how important it is to have that connection between the retail and the retail and the consumer. It's the most important relationship for the retail.
And listen, when I mean, not to constantly bring it back to this, but when Zack Snyder's Justice League was coming up, it's like I know for a fact that we're a lot of the people who were told us for years nonstop, this will never happen, this doesn't exist, they'll never release it, they'll never finish it, they'll never let him do it.
Wait, Hamada was going to stay there after the merger. That was the thing.
I
laughed. I'm like, are you out of your fucking minds?
But they're going
to take him out of a moving plane if they can,
Yeah, but a lot of the naysayers, like, they were actively rooting for it to fail because that was their recourse, because they got egg on their face on that whole situation.
Yeah, rooting for something to fail, to me, it's kind of soulless. I'm like, that's too much.
Yeah, I don't do it, but it's like the
I
circumstances being
understand
what
it,
they
but
are.
it's still
Yeah,
kind
the
of
circumstances being what they are, I can't fault anybody for being pissed off at this company for what they've put them through with these
and you know
characters they're
what?
attached to.
Like I said to the consumer is a judge, jury, and executioner. They're not wrong. You know, you might not agree with what they're doing, but when you hold the cash, when you're the one paying, when you're the one that's the target, you're right. When that whole customer is always right. And one way, yes, they don't know everything. Obviously, if somebody walks into your place of business and they don't, that you have to educate them. That's your job as a retailer. But as far as them being compelled, it's your job to compel them to be on your side. And if they're not on your side, then you know that's a you thing. That's not necessarily a them thing. You know, trying to predict what a customer is going to do is not. That's their customers will always be unpredictable. Management should not be. So there's your issue right there.
But okay, I think excuse me. Fourth says or no, sorry, fourth. Actually, we're 35. Yeah, we're climbing, guys. You guys are you're really you're really helping us climb gradually up to the big leagues. We're really enjoying it. So I think we can't thank you all enough for tuning into us breaking all this stuff down, and of course for your generosity with the charity drive, and however much that might be tied to my own pain with these terrible movies or scary movie franchises you're forcing me to sit through. But but again, thank you so much, everybody, for just how much you've really how much you value what we do here. That's really it's very gratifying. We can't thank you guys enough. But William, yes, I think before we let the inmates run the asylum, I think we do you want to go ahead and dive on I think our last topic is Dune Part 2. And I guess I gotta wait for him to come back. So while he's doing it, yeah, we're still I'm waiting to hear about the schedule on that myself.
Okay, so Scary Movie 2 is probably it's gonna be about a week or so because I don't know. I'm trying to fight myself because we might, because we have our fundraisers, but we've got out a movie, so we might just make that the Saturday fundraiser. It could be that, it's where we just because it's a fundraising opportunity. We might do that because we kind of ran out of Snyder movies that I want to watch. I don't know if I want to do Sucker Punch.
Well, I think the only ones we haven't done so far are obviously we're going to do Rebel Moon Part 2, and we're going to do the extended cuts.
We got to wait for that one to come out.
But as far as ones that are already out, the only ones I don't think we've done yet are Sucker Punch and Owls of Ga'Hoole.
Yeah, I'm not just. I mean, we can do those. I'm not as enthusiastic about those. It's the other one. We can do those. We can do those, or we can do a Saturday afternoon, where we put those movies together and get them out the way, and that way you're.
Are those our choices between like 2 awesome Zack Snyder movies and 4 horrible scary movie bullshit movies?
Wow. I'm sorry about Brad. He's insulting you guys. He's insulting the fans. We know you guys love this, and I think he's a closeted fan of Scary Movie.
The hell so, I am.
That's but I haven't figured it out yet because, like I said, I wasn't. The reality of hitting 8,000 had to sink in first. So
looking at some of these donations, because a lot of them are anonymous, although Clint has taken credit for the one that got us to the 8,000 mark today. But yeah, some of these
your response with the Homer Simpson thing was hilarious.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I was thinking, and I will need to confirm or deny that I did that when I saw that news. But some of the anonymous donations we've gotten, it's like I'd love to.
Donations anonymous that are $500, man.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder, like who I understand. People value their privacy, so I don't want to pry on that. But again, who's coming out for this with the you just putting their hands just so deep into their pockets to donate to that? It's really again, it's why I suspect, I have no proof, but I suspect that once Zach gave us the Twitter shout out, that there may have been other people connected to the movie who decided to kind of chip into this or tell their friends to chip into it, or et cetera, et cetera.
All right, we're going to spend 8 minutes talking about the religious experience that I may or may not be having on Monday.
Yes,
I heard more reviews today from this movie.
Oh, we're okay.
What's going on?
There were more reviews you heard about?
Oh yeah. I thought the dog was attacking.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
there's more reviews, and like I said, you know how I feel about reviews one way or another. Fuck your reviews. But I'm always curious to see the people who usually say something's boring or this or that. I'm not always just curious because obviously I'm going to go see these movies.
Well, and also like what Aaron and I were talking about with Avatar, it's like, yeah, we're not predicating whether or not we want to see something that we're really enamored with on whether or not the critical reception is, but it's like when it gets a widespread positive one, we still enjoy that.
Yeah, when a bunch of knuckleheads that usually are at opposite knuckleheads start like coming out, screaming Jesus and fainting and passing out in the aisle type of situation. I've heard some of these critics are like they just want to be on there just to say snarky shit. Even some of the people that are like that are like, man. And I'm hearing, and I could say this is all hyperbolic because when you should never ask somebody right out right out of the theater ones are fine, but when you ask somebody is this the greatest science fiction movie you've ever seen, right after they walked out of the movie, you might want to ask them a couple days later too. Some of these guys are I've seen them talk about it in days later, and they're putting it up there with some of the greatest science fiction movies ever made. Now, this geek has seen a lot of science fiction, horror, and fantasy. It took me days for me to determine that Blade Runner 2049 is my favorite science fiction movie ever. More than Star Wars, more than any of the Star Trek movies. That's just a me thing. I'm pretty sure there's people that won't even have it in their top 20, but movies are subjective. But I waited for a while to do my review. I waited because I didn't want to be a prisoner of the moment. And each time I think about Blade Runner 2049, it gets better for me. And like I told you a couple days ago, a guy that I know that's seen it and knows how I feel about this particular director and Blade Runner 2049. He says it blows Blade Runner 2049. Now I'm like, hold on, man, dude, don't make me throw you over the banister here, like I almost did fourth. But you're telling me that this movie that achieved everything I needed to achieve after waiting for 35 years and it being had every risk and every possibility that it could have been up a ID, Independence Day 2 resurgence, and it didn't. It not only was it not that, but it achieved like a mastery of a whole bunch of stuff that I've never seen before in the tone. I just watched it again the other night. You're saying it's better than that? Yeah. So I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to see when I get here on Monday, and I say it. I'm so looking forward to this movie. I am so looking forward to having a stream or so afterwards, and because a lot of people are now starting to ask me. People are starting to pick up the Dune comics now. People are starting to ask me about these houses, about what's this all about. Some of the people who've seen the movies and never read the book, and trust me, don't read the comics. I got the comics here for you. Read the comics. Those books are going to bore the earwax straight out of your ears. Do not do it. Just my opinion. But there's ways to explain these characters to people to where they are relatable. I think the book makes them not relatable. I think the book is drab and dry. The books, especially the first trilogy, I don't think you need that to enjoy this movie. And for those of you who've come to pick up tickets today, and a lot of you have gotten on the list today, here's a little ticket. So when you're in the wrong line Monday, I can come snatch you out of the line so you don't have to wait with the peasants or general audience. I'm sorry. You're VIP. You came down here and posed with a picture, and you're VIP if we're watching the show. By the way, Bradley, other Brad, and what's the other guy? Austin. I got seats for you too because I know you guys are local. All right, so yeah, the CW, yeah, that's a low blow, man. I mean, not even to them. They did what they could with what they had, but it was small budget stuff, and you could only go so far with that. And then the storytelling, like I said, I think Smallville is an absolute fucking joke.
Tonight,
Joke,
guys. So
joke with a capital J, dude. Who wasn't in Small? Most of these fucking heroes never stepped foot in Smallville, even when Superboy was in existence, and now everybody's there. Smoke side? What the hell is that? Come on now. Anyway, but yeah, the CW. Yeah, and it is. I think this is going to be that movie. It's going to be like Lawrence in Arabia, but except on alien worlds, man. I'm excited as fuck about this movie. And I love this director. I love it. And Han more. The world cannot be any worse off with Royal Hans Zimmer. His scores, didn't matter. Listen, I don't like Interstellar. I don't think it's a very good movie in my opinion. But the soundtrack is. I'm not the biggest fan of Inception. I think it's a confusing mess. Even though I got it, the pacing was just ugh. But when you play Time, the lead track on there, I can sit and they have a 4-hour track I could play in the store and love. So Hans Zimmer is for some of these movies, Hans Zimmer is the biggest draw, but he's just one of the draws. I can see Dave Bautista get even better as an actor. And I hope when people see Dave Bautista this time, we will get this fucking Bane obsession out of our heads.
Well, William. I mean, not to be that guy, but apparently, on Instagram, Batista recently did share some artwork of depicting his likeness as Bane.
I saw that, and then Boss Logic, and those are nice. But Dave, if you're watching this, and you're probably not, but if you are,
go for it, dude.
You're better than that, dude. You get better. You evolve beyond what a mess Bane is. You need to be playing Roz. And I've heard people say Vandal Savage, and all right, I can see that a lot more than I can see. I just you'd be less wasted on Bane is a waste of paper.
Well, see the thing is because I get both sides of it because Bane. I mean, obviously, Bane, of course, the big strong guy, and he can definitely embody that very well. But then also, he's really established himself as a really strong character actor, which I think is really kind of his what he's been trying to do with his career, and he's really had a lot of success with that. So I could see. I could see like something like Vandal Savage or even a Lex Luthor by Dave Bautista, because again, those you don't associate like bodybuilder guys, with you don't associate his physical image with a lot of characters like that. So it would be really a different take on somebody like Vandal Savage, somebody like Lex Luthor, somebody like Ra's al Ghul. It'd be very different. So yeah, I could be down for either way, either Bane or a different DC character, different DC villain, and it probably would be a villain too.
That's hilarious, Vince. I got your message. That's hilarious. My phone's plugged in right now. All right, now that we've talked about the religious experience that will be Dune or might be Dune, it's time to do something that I may or may not regret on a weekly basis, and that's
get it. Well, let these crazy knuckleheads put me through Scary Movie in.
And Charles Austin, if you're out there, I want you in here. I want you. All right, the last hour belongs to you guys.
Yes, for better or worse.
And it's one thing to.
We already got our first guest jump in. Let me pull him up here.
All right. No, I'm just
there you go.
Hello.
Hey, yeah. Did you watch my suffering earlier?
No, I was busy doing something else. I only hopped in like the last 30 or so minutes.
Okay,
okay, we got to 7,000 with that, and now we're at 8,000 with that. I'm happy. I am happy. I don't care how bad the movie was. I'm happy. We got to 7,000. Oh, I hear me in the background.
Dun dun dun.
I'm a voice in someone's head. That's not what you want. You do not want my Cookie Monster / Kermit the Frog voice in your head. How are you doing, RJ?
Doing okay. Just chilling, just relaxing. It's almost the weekend. It's almost Dune 2. This next weekend's gonna be busy. So
yeah, Dune. The week begins with me at AMC Town Square watching this movie in IMAX. Apparently, they did it in IMAX for us. So.
The premium format's gonna go crazy.
So 2 hours and 45 minutes. But like I said, if the movie's good, when I was done with 2049, I wasn't like, oh my god.
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay, I wasn't like, oh my goodness, this is awful. When is it gonna? No, if the movie's good and the pacing's right, dude, I can stay there. Watchmen, I didn't want less of Watchmen. I wanted more of Watchmen. When I'm watching,
I get what you mean. Same with the Lord of the Rings movies. They're long, but they felt like
okay, those aren't good though. So me bringing the Tolkien shit in here. No, I'm just kidding. Not a big Tolkien fan, but I understand. Yeah, I get your point. It's the pacing for me. If you're into it and they've done a good job to keep you in it, you're gonna be fine. I mean, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Trust me, I don't think I'm gonna be leaving Dune. I've never left any Denis Villeneuve movies thinking that, damn, why did that fucking last so long? No, I wanted more. Who we got coming in here? we have Vince. What's going on?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
I'm just wrapping up another successful day, another successful Saturday. Sending a whole bunch of people to church apparently on Monday. You guys are going to church. You know?
What's going on? William, let's start from the top on that Dune talk there, buddy. I'm going to have to ask you to stop shitting on books because I don't know what your whole reading thing is, and that's cool, but the book's really good.
If it doesn't have a picture in it, William doesn't like it.
The books are not good.
Yes, they are.
They're very descriptive to the point that when you're watching the Denis Villeneuve movie, what's too much in a book that doesn't have pictures if you need to visualize stuff? I mean, they really get detailed in everything. They go over the hunter killers. They go over what machinery would work, all this other kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. And it was pretty cool to see the way Villeneuve interpreted it. I thought a lot of it was pretty spot on. Also, the first movie, other than the intro of the story of the book, the first movie pretty much ends in the middle of the book. I mean, so you're looking at something that's way more accurate than the piece of shit they put out in '84 or '86 or whatever that is.
Tell you
84.
what, here's what I'll say this. In order for you to enjoy Dune, you don't need the book. I'll say that right out.
Yeah, but you shouldn't shit on a book. We should encourage reading, especially the way this country seems to be going right now. Then the second thing I was going to bring up, since we're there, because you're an influencer, you get 375 people.
I'm encouraging your reading, Spidey, right here.
Hey, and I'm with it. Let's not shit on another medium. That's like the big proponent, right?
On them all. This one's the one that makes me money.
And then the other thing I want to bring up is, as far as the movie next week go, I volunteer that we watch Justice League New Frontier, and since it's short, we also watch Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. I mean, it's just perfect.
Okay with half of that.
We're gonna watch the whole deal because Batman Beyond is golden. I keep telling you.
By the way, guys, I need to mention because we are having some other people trying to jump in. Apparently, we are limited to 9, so we peaked out on that, unfortunately. So,
holy crap, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Technically,
How many people are backstage?
like the
We got.
It doesn't show me because we're maxed.
Okay.
We got everybody that we could get in right now.
Okay.
Hey, I got what I had to say. What's going on, Charles? I got what I had to say, so I'll get out and I'll listen to the show and let the other people.
Oh, what's this drive-by shit? Okay, bye.
I mean, I'll come back if you want me to, William. But I got my point across.
Quite all right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll be right back because I got my party, my reunion's breaking up, so I'll be right back. Guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a reunion.
Okay. But
So why do you hate the Total Recall remake? You want to explain that to me? RJ?
why do I hate it?
RJ.
I don't hate the remake. I just think that
And I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you at
no,
all.
I know. I'm just saying, for me, the Total Recall remake, it's got decent ideas, and I think it does its best to try and pay homage to the original. It's just that I think conceptually and just some of the changes made and just the way it executes certain ideas, I think doesn't make it nearly as interesting or fun. It's just
That's
I don't know.
kind of like with Man of Steel. I know.
like
I
they
get
cut
it.
out
It's
and
like the old school Cthulhu
didn't work.
fanboys, and I get it. But I've always found the original Recall remake overrated. And it doesn't age well in time, so sorry. I just prefer the remake, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't personally agree, but that's perfectly. I mean, listen.
The original
all
Total
films
Recall is way
subjective,
better.
Well, also I also read the book too, and the book was actually, especially in the director's cut, was actually a more faithful version to that storyline.
Oh
than
yeah.
the,
I mean, the book and the
Paul
original
Verhoeven
movie
one.
are different. Yeah. There's differences with that.
Because the Paul Verhoeven one is more like goofy and more over the top, but the book inside is much more straightforward, like character.
The goofy,
driven,
the goofy and over the topness is part of some of the charm that Arnold Schwarzenegger brings to it.
I know, but that's a
Yeah,
exactly me. I know, but it's too
more.
goofy. Sorry.
But even even with all the goofiness, just like the just the storyline and the table turns and the twists and stuff like that are a lot better than what that boring Colin Farrell one had. All that Colin Farrell's version has is just updated technology to make the movie look glossier. That's about
I know,
it.
but that's what makes it look better.
I mean, but looking better does. I mean, that's the thing, though, right? When we compare, it's just like
Yeah.
it may look better, but if it's story wise and entertainment wise doesn't hit the same way, then it doesn't really matter how
Well,
pretty it
but
is.
that's all because of nostalgia, really. It's all depends if you grew up with it or not. Like if you
Well, I
did
didn't
it,
grow
then
up with it. I mean, I was born in '99. I didn't grow up with
no, I
any of
meant
the
like
other
not like
ones.
growing up with it. I meant like watching it as a kid. You know?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, I didn't check out that movie until like, God, I want to say like I was like 16, 17.
Yeah.
I didn't watch till I was like 20.
Yeah.
What was
But,
it?
yeah.
Total Recall?
Yeah.
So I love the original. I didn't hate the remake, but it just didn't have that feel.
Yeah, I can say this. I didn't hate the remake, but I'll say the remake is exactly what I felt about Creator. It's pretty to look at, but it didn't move me.
I still need to see the creator.
I would take
Still
the
wanna-
creator over the.
And
Total
Drogo,
Recall
what do
I'll
you
take the Total Recall remake over the creator. I mean, I love both movies, but I'll take those. I mean, the Total Recall remake is like one of my all-time favorite movies. So,
Yeah, well, one of your all-time favorites is also Scary Movie. So that I mean, I don't
well,
know.
no, not that one. No, that one's a comedy.
No, it's not. Comedy implies laughter, which implies funny, which is not.
The first
I love
scary
Step
movie
Brothers.
isn't that bad, Brad. The first
It's
one.
horrible.
Like the first four, are good. Like I said, the first four are
horrible.
consistent. I don't know why he hates it so much.
They are all horrible, god awful.
I mean, listen, it gets worse later. I'm not denying.
Yeah,
that.
but the
I'm just
first, yeah,
saying
but
that
Dewey
the
is the
first
best one.
isn't
RJ, you
that
gotta agree that Dewey is the best one. Dewey is like the most consistent out of all of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's so consistent. They put 8 Mile into a Scary Movie parody.
I know, but that was what made it funny. It's hilarious.
Then they should have just done an 8 Mile parody.
Yeah, but dude,
I mean,
it's a
listen,
spoof movie. What do you
Some
expect?
of those parody movies are bad, though. I'm not gonna like defend them. Some of them are very, very, very bad. Like
Meet the Spartans.
Yeah,
No,
disaster
don't bring those up.
disaster
Those are
movie.
awful.
Disaster movie is the worst movie I have ever laid eyes on.
Well, you weren't supposed to go that far, Brad. You kept showing up for
Yeah,
more
you kept
parody movies after you
bringing up
hated
these
Scary
awful
Movie, which
movies,
launched them
man.
all.
Those are the movies we don't talk about.
Wait, Brad, you saw Scary Movies, like what, 1 through 5?
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
No, I've seen
You
one
saw
through
the Spartan
4.
movies?
Yeah,
and
I've seen most of them. I've seen most of
superhero-
them.
I love
Hey,
what-
Brad, you got to stop showing up for these things.
Oh, I have. Trust me, I have.
I love the first 4, but
Drogo,
because I
what
would
are you
watch
doing
them
with
along
your
with my
Batman
hold on.
there, the icon.
Like
Wait
I
a
would
minute,
watch them
this is
along with
just
my
me.
grandpa.
Dominoes.
And like the
This
reason why I
one-
didn't see
Oh,
5
okay.
though
One
is
at
like
a time, guys.
sorry. Was it?
Who's going first?
Yeah, I was.
Who's on
Okay.
second?
All right, so
Naturally.
No,
What's
like
up,
I
Terry?
didn't see the 5th one because like my grandpa, who I would watch a lot of these spoof movies with, like he always told me that Scary Movie 5 like sucked ass. So I kind of trusted him for like a long time, and I still haven't seen it since then because he said the same thing to me about Speed 2, and I actually watched it. Not this year, like I think like 2 years back, just to see what it was, and yeah, it was pretty. It wasn't good. So Grandpa was right there. So
I'll say the opening to Scary Movie 5 was pretty good, and after that, it was like,
yeah.
Okay, so Fourth decided to leave this evening. So
No, bring him back.
No, bring it
Dollar Store Disco. How you doing, Charles Austin? Wayne's Manor. Good.
I'm good.
Welcome to like I said, I don't
Can you
think I've
hear
ever
me?
had you on the screen before.
yeah, we hear you, man.
Yeah, Charles. Listen, I am 100% with you, man. We don't have any tools right now other than limited. But if I had the option of live action, I'm taking it. I don't have the option right now.
Well, here's the problem.
It's all good, man, and it's all good, man. And look, like I said in the chat, I can understand your perspective. You being mainly, I'm not saying, I said that you were biased to comic books, but that was wrong.
No,
but
Charles, you're right.
You being mainly right. So you being mainly a comic book guy, I get that, dude.
Who went away?
Oh,
I think
might be like a
Charles
hiccup.
is buffering or something.
But
Oh, there you go. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, but Charles.
So I'll be 51 and I'll be 51 in July.
Okay.
So I mean my first cinematic experience was Star Wars. That was my first like epic cinematic experience. From there, Close Encounters of third kind, all those big like epic scale movies, became a hooked cinephile after that. Do I read comics? Absolutely. Got a stack of them. DC is that's my brand. That's all I do. What I saw Zack Snyder give us, after I saw that, I didn't want anything else. The very first time that I saw his Justice League, I expressed two emotions. I was both happy and I was both sad, because it felt like we would never get anything like that again after that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What we saw on screen was like comic book pages come to life.
Oh yeah,
literally ripped right out of the pages. Okay, Zack Snyder's Justice League is he made that movie my all-time favorite movie. And you know what my favorite movie of all time was before that? And it wasn't even a superhero movie. Terminator 1984.
Oh really? Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
You got good taste. I like you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. What did you think of BVS and Man of Steel?
Charles, I am biased as a comic book guy. However, I feel the same way. Every bit of emotion you feel about these movies, I feel the same way. But now, my question is, let's say we both love these movies at the same level. What's the next step as far as getting our story told? And with the options that we have right now that are realistically, to be able to have something to go to a chief executive and say, you know what, this sold 1 million copies, which for a comic book is a lot. That's phenomenal if you're selling 1 million copies or something like that. If I have something that says we got people that want this, other than, because right now, and I'm not saying this is you, but a lot of our fandom is noise without a plan. And all I'm saying is the easiest, most viable, cost-effective plan out there is these papers and these staples. Yes, I'm biased, but it's even without that bias, it's a comic book story. You put it out there. Now, is that the format I want, the final format? No. But now, once this gets out there and it sells those 1 million copies, now I go back to that guy, that Zazoff, or whoever's sitting in his throne at the time, and now we got something to go on. We got numbers.
Right, and I'll admit that plan, begrudgingly, I'll admit it, is the most viable plan. It is just, for me, the thought of, had they just left the 30 minutes in the goddamn movie and left it the hell alone, we would not be here right now. Instead of listening to a bunch of crybaby bloggers, oh my God, Superman's not smiling. Oh my God.
It's like the Total Recall fanboys.
That's the best impression I've heard of them.
Listen. I'm gonna go ahead and lay my biases out here right now. Like Snyder, I read heavy metal when I was a kid. Okay, he's only 6 years older than me. So, like Snyder, I read heavy metal. That's what actually got me into comics. Okay, DC, when I was growing up, those type of movies spoke to me simply because I grew up in a reality that I accepted. I didn't run from it. I wasn't scared of it. I grew up in it, and it was those. Yeah. So the darkness. Okay, this is a question. This is a question that I like to pose to people, because they think that, they say, Superman's missing the optimism and he's missing the hope. Let me ask you a question. Where does hope and optimism come from?
Darkness.
Where does hope and optimism come from? Does it just magically come out of the air all by itself without somebody going through some sort of adversity or
Comes from
trial
despair.
or tribulation or culture. Thank you.
Yep.
It doesn't just blossom out of nowhere.
Yeah,
No,
hope and optimism comes from that.
Nobody wants to take the journey. They want it ready-made.
Exactly.
Everybody wants the ready-made Superman.
Well, that's what Zack Snyder was doing. He was building it up to that at the end of the 5-story
Instead of, and this is what I want to explain to you, Superman purists out there. All Zack Snyder was trying to do was give us that hope and optimism Superman that you're looking for. He was just trying to give it to us in 5 movies instead of 1. That's all he was trying to do. Just sit down and think about it like that for just a second. He was trying to get to the hope and the optimism, but you didn't give him a chance to do it because you pounced on this Superman is dark, this Superman is depressed. He was trying to put the man on an actual journey. That's all he was trying to do.
But the Christopher Reeve diehard fanboys don't get that.
Well, and
they wanted pure Superman in the first act.
Here's the thing, though. Everything you said was 100% true. And the biggest problem I've always had, and I said over and over again, is you had the people that were in charge they weren't trying to run their company. They were looking over in that other car while they were driving down the Avba. And guess what happens when you do that? You crash. And that's what they did. Had they been running in their company, they would have been okay.
Like Jeff Johns, for instance. Hell of a writer when it comes to the comic book. But let me tell you what my problem is with him. Obviously, let me tell you what my problem is with him. Bro, you write dark DC. You write that mature DC.
Yes, he does.
Why are you on the side of people who want that lighthearted MCU shit? I don't get that.
Because
you write dark DC. If you wanted to copy Marvel, Jeff Johns, then why don't you write for Marvel?
Because it's all about egos.
I think they were
especially when you write the characters and when you think that you know better than. Right.
Say again, RJ.
No,
go ahead, RJ. Go ahead, RJ. Then Chappie.
And they thought that was the easiest way to the money instead of just letting things play out the way. Like, again, stupid ego idiots at the time basically were just like, hey, these 30 minutes, we can't keep it in there because we need to have this many.
We have more showings.
Yeah, which is dumb. Like, I think Kevin Sujihara is the
Man of Steel, and BVS. Just at BVS, not even further than BVS. As soon as BVS came out, it was poised. It was going to overtake Marvel. It was poised to do that. And then they took out 30 minutes. A couple of bloggers got online, said some stuff, made the Warner Brothers execs fearful and scared.
Pussies.
And what did they do?
Yeah.
And they jumped.
Charles, let me ask you.
That is what happened. So I don't want to hear anybody sit up there and tell me that it was Zack Snyder's fault that DC was ruined. That it was Zack Snyder's fault.
That's what I've been saying for all these years. People still want to put the blame on Zack Snyder for some odd reason. They want to think that it's his fault for why the DCU failed.
And people think that Zack wanted to have the Justice League straight away. No, he wanted to make a Superman sequel, but no, not Wonder Woman, Warner Brothers, pressured him.
Well, that's the other part that people forget about the whole story too, is that they literally hired Jeff Johns to sit there and watch him on set all day because they didn't trust him.
Breathing down his
God, how emasculating does that sound?
Well,
I mean, how
Charles the studio is basically like, we don't.
Charles.
Real life version of Shrek.
One
at a time.
Hey, Charles, I was going to ask you about your first experience when you came out of your first time watching BVS. How did you feel when you came out of that movie? Because when I came out, I was like, something's wrong because I feel like Snyder's a better storyteller.
Brother, verbatim, you just said the 2 words I said to myself when I looked at my wife when we walked out of there. So we looked at each other, right? And we both were both like, awesome movie. But then we had that look in our eye like, something's wrong. It feels disjointed. There is a piece missing somewhere. I don't know exactly where it fits in, but I got to watch it again. watched it again, and watched it again, and then I figured it out. I was like, Lex's plot is just not there. How did he end up being the guy? You know what I mean? How did that tie into? And I was just like, and then I saw the Ultimate Edition. I was just like, and there it is.
Yeah,
but
right,
that's how I felt about it. We liked it. We liked it, but we were just like that look on our face, like, it feels like something is missing. What's missing? Yeah.
Same way. Right when they mentioned that there was a Ultimate Edition, I was like, that's what it is, because
that's what it is.
Which was such
it explains Lex's whole motivation. That 30 minutes.
Man, it's
right
the
there.
whole movie right there, ain't it? It's the whole movie they took out in a half hour.
It's the
Lex
whole
Luthor,
movie right there.
Lex Luthor put to film is the one in that movie, hands down.
Yep. That was his movie.
That is a Lex Luthor plot through and through. Go read some comic books and come back to us on that.
Ray is backing you up here, Charles.
I have to agree with Ray.
Because for the guy that made Watchmen, the movie that should not have been able to make it to film and made that plot line move as smooth as water, like I was like, no,
exactly,
way more fluid filmmaking.
Exactly, and see, this is this is what's missing from filmmaking. And Martin Scorsese pointed this out. When I walk out of a film, I want to be able to talk about it, and I want to be able to talk about it. And I want to be able to get online with friends and analyze it. And I want to be able to talk about those moments that give me chills up my spine. I want to talk about those things, the act structure, how it's broken down, the soundtracks. I cannot do that with a immature fart and pee joke film. I can't do it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm 51 years old. I can't do it. I tried it. Now, I will say this, because I like to give credit where credit is due. I don't just like to just say everybody's bad. I think that James Gunn is talented. Honestly, he really is a talented a writer and director. Here's my thing, and this is just my take. He should have started off where Todd Phillips started off. He should have made the type of old school and Road Trip and all those type of raunchy comedies with the slapstick jokes and the fart and the pee-pee and all of the weird stuff. He should have made that. That's his thing. If he likes that kind of stuff, make that kind of stuff. I don't want that beholden on to a film that a group of characters that I believe should be mythologized, just like Zack Snyder intended.
So, Charles, do you believe that that's what's going to happen? Because the point I was making a couple of weeks ago is that most of James Gunn's movies, now I'm not trying to create excuses for him or anything, but most of his movies are comic book films. And he does,
true that,
love it or hate it, a lot of his shit references right out the book. We might not like the portrayal or the execution as much as a different director or whatever. But I mean, you see what I'm saying? So do you think it's automatically going to go there, or do you think he has the wherewithal to be able to read the room and not make this Guardians of the Galaxy again?
I am hoping he has restraint, and this is why I say this. So I want you to just hear me out right quick. We got Guardians Galaxy 1, 2, and 3, right? When you saw the Suicide Squad, what did you think?
I thought I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy in DC.
Okay, same here. When you saw Peacemaker, what did you think?
I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't get past the third episode. I thought it was
Peacemaker. I feel like that. I feel like Peacemaker.
Peacemaker is an industry plant. He is.
Hold on.
An industry plant. Cat Williams is Droga confirmed.
Right. But hold on. So okay. So I finished it. I squeaked by, and I finished it. And I'm the type of person that can see a skeleton in every single story, no matter how bad it is. I saw where he was trying to go with Chris, with Peacemaker. I saw where he was trying to go, and he did it. He got there in the fourth episode. He got there. I was like, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for, dog. Give me that. You did the pee and the fart and the weird stuff in episode 1, 2. Okay, I get it. Now you're reaching into what I'm looking for. Give me that soulful. Break them down. Why is this man the way he is? And they broke it down. They gave us that backstory. He killed his brother. I was like, perfect. Give me more of that. And then they dropped the ball, fart and pee joke it all the way to the end, and I was done.
So out of your
fuck another fish, asshole. Yeah, I was done.
Which of the Guardians movies would you say of those are your choices? Which one do you say you would enjoy the best, or how would you rank them?
I rank them 1, 3, and 2.
I would tend to agree. I think
2
one is the best
Two's
one by
actually
far.
I probably rank them two, like from weakest to strongest. I probably rank them. I probably say 3. I probably say 3, 1, 2. I did. I thought 2 kind of stepped up a bit above 1 a little bit for me.
I'm the weird one. I actually really like the second one.
Here's why I say 1, 3, and 2, because 1 pretty much stuck true to form.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. That's yeah.
3.
It was on point.
3 he tried to. Right. 3 he tried to reach deep with that emotion. He did. Mm-hmm. He did. So he reached down in there, but then he kind of dropped the ball again with the he, as soon as he gets to the emotion and the Shakespearean moments, he undercuts it. That's his problem. So that's why I put 3 in front of 2, because 2 was just like he went too far with the slapstick. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
By the way, Charles, I want to ask you, Charles.
Taserface went on just way too long for me.
I love Taserface.
Yeah,
Charles.
Yeah,
I want to ask you, since you were talking about your early encounters with your cinematic experiences. Do you think that Gunn? Because the thing I like about Warner Brothers with DC is that Warner Brothers is a film company first, and so they kind of make comic books acquiesce towards being a cinematic genre instead of just saying let's do literal translations of comic books. They're always kind of like filmmaker oriented. So the only one thing I talk shit in the chat just to get a rise out of people. Like,
we know that. We're well aware of that.
No, really?
Ooh, fourth 1,000.
That's everybody who knows me right there. All right. But my only concern, and the thing that'll get me, is when they release the first trailer for this Superman Legacy, is will Gunn create his own cinema language? Like Matt Reeves has his own look that you can write articles about for the Batman. Snyder has a look, you can tell that he's picking out lenses and angles and film styles. We had Nolan. Do you think Gunn will have something that has a cinematic prestige behind it, or will he shoot it like a Marvel film, which is
I think it will be like a Donner film. That's what I think.
I think that's where it's gonna have that. Yeah, I think it's gonna have that brushed DC feel like it's supposed to. But he's right. It's gonna be Donner all the way. It's gonna have that. His uniform's gonna be bright. I'm almost certain of that. So the uniform's gonna be bright, but it is gonna have that kind of DC brushed feel. But I think he's gonna shoot it like it's the trailer is gonna have a Donner feel to it. I really believe that.
Let's not forget this man doesn't he's not scared of blood and guts. So and he's in charge. So he might.
Also, aren't they gonna get the same like a cinematographer from the Flash and Guardians 3 with the guy who does like the zoomed out lenses?
Also, RJ,
if that happens, I'll be sad.
It looks so stupid in the Flash. Like, where you just have everyone with a big ass head and shit. It looks so bad.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like when it comes to Gunn as a filmmaker, when you're talking about like visual aesthetic and visual composition, that visual flair, I feel like the movie, at least to me, that like shown that he had grown a little bit as a filmmaker in terms of like visuals and like composition and that kind of stuff. I think it was the Suicide Squad. Like whether or not like the writing, people don't like the movie. It's fine.
It was that and Volume 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, visually, I think the Suicide Squad, he was trying to do more experimental things with camera movements. He was trying to do things with, like, that film has a very unique visual aesthetic compared to, like, other stuff. You know, with the Marvel stuff, there is that element of, like, the Marvel machine a little bit. But I feel like even Guardians 3 had a little bit more visual flair than normal. But I feel like overall, I think the Suicide Squad is like that one movie I can point to. It's like, okay, that's a uniquely James Gunn looking movie. Like I do developing that style.
I agree. I do think that was kind of a turning point for him as a filmmaker. Was the Suicide Squad, and of course that carried over in when he did Guardians 3. So yeah, as far as like how that will how that will impact like the look of Superman Legacy. Again, it's like that's something I because that's so.
We probably won't get a trailer until like the end of December.
It's that feeling. It's that feeling, guys. I'm telling you. All I'm saying is this: look, you when you watch a Marvel film, you know you're watching a Marvel film. When you know you're watching a DC film, brother, you know you are watching a DC film. I cannot explain it, and it isn't just Zack Snyder. It's almost as if WB said, "Hey, we want a particular look for our cameras when you shoot this epicness. When you shoot Constantine, and when you shoot The Matrix, and when you shoot this, and we want a particular gradient look to ours. We don't want our intros and all that in our movies to be that bright and shiny. We want them to have this kind of natural aesthetic and this natural artistic feel to them."
Hold on for a second. Hey,
I feel like they lost that.
You had a question for me? Hold on, Shabby. Vince, you had a question for me specifically?
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. He mentioned that he did.
What's up, man?
Specifically wanted to ask you.
Go ahead, Vince. You're on mute.
Yeah, Vince, you're on mute, man. What's your question for William?
Yeah, I heard you guys. I had to go back to the right tab to unmute. Have you watched the Quantum Leap finale yet?
I am behind on that. I have not watched the finale yet.
What show?
Quantum Leap, the remake, not the remake, but the continuation on that's on NBC. I still haven't heard any news about whether it's getting, it's still up in limbo for right now. Have you heard anything?
No, I haven't heard anything. I thought it was really good, but
did it leave off? Did it leave off in a way that it could get another season?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. It left off in a way where it could continue, or it could end, and you would probably be happy for the characters.
Am I going to be happier than I was? Because the season finale of the original Quantum Leap really pissed me off. That ending really sucked.
Me too. And and Scott Bakula is another person that's from St. Louis, and I'm like, can you please go back and like make this character like go home?
Yeah, that ambiguous ending, and then they put at the end, he never finds his way home. I'm like, kind of shit on my parade.
And then he says, "Oh, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back." Just give us old fans the ending. Like he made it home finally.
Dean Stockwell's dead. I can't even have the Admiral come and tell me, we got Sam home because he's dead. So it's like, oh well.
It's probably like outside of Star Trek, Quantum Leap is like probably my favorite.
And it was a very unique show for the time.
It was.
For sure, man.
And honestly, even like now, I still consider it pretty unique as far as how they handle it.
And shit, if they gave La Brea 4 years, they can give Quantum Leap some more time. I mean, basically, La Brea has landed the loss without Chaka. I mean, that got years. And what's the other one about the plane that got bought out by Netflix?
Oh, starts with an M. Now I can't remember.
Yeah, but it had no business getting more than like a commercial break, and it's got years. So I think Quantum Leap has a good shot. I mean, it's 50-50. I would like to see it.
But you gotta check out the episodes you missed, and like send me a DM or something. Be like, hey, I liked it, or I thought it sucked.
Okay,
whatever.
Manifest is like, come on, dude. What is it? It's like Gilligan's Island on a plane. But hey, it lasted. See, that's what I can't understand. The stuff that gets more time and the stuff that doesn't get it boggles my mind. I'm like, you kept that shit on the air, but my shows get canceled. My shows are up in the air, but
the Sail Chronicle series didn't deserve any of that.
Well, that was Fox's not giving a shit about anything.
Wait, and again, I do want to. That's one thing I do want to ask you, William. Like, why do you think like Fox was so messed up at the time when it came to TV shows? Especially
Football
like, when
and
it came
NASCAR.
to like Family Guy, like they kept like canceling it.
They only cared about football. They didn't care about
football and
anything
NASCAR.
else.
They had billion-dollar contracts with football and NASCAR, and they wanted to shove that down every hole that they could find, and that's what they did. There was when you're running a network that doesn't have that, when you're one of the networks that didn't have the big contracts that they had at that time, you depend on the connectability of your shows. But Fox at that time, they just got the new football toy, they just got the new NASCAR toy, and then they got baseball. They just basically became ESPN2 before there was a Fox Sports to speak of, and they just didn't think they didn't needed anything. And they definitely didn't care about their Friday night programming. The only reason why X-Files,
when I found out they were canceling, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, I was done, man. I was like, yo,
pissed me. You don't know. I think I punched a hole in something.
It pissed me off, dude. I was just like, word.
Especially the Chronicles series was the better version of Dark Fate. I will say that till the day I die.
Well, and now, do you think, William? Do you think when they canceled it, did that? Because I think they canceled it like around the same time when Terminator Salvation dropped. Do you think that maybe like the whole concept of not competing with ourselves maybe played into that decision?
No, I just think Fox wanted to get out of science fiction because they had a pattern of doing that. They got rid of Doll's House.
Wasn't it because like Salvation underperformed and they walked the rights?
It was already done. That was already done by then. Remember Fox's history. If X-Files had not been the phenomenal hit that it was, X-Files would have got canceled because they put X-Files on Friday night.
Even Bones still lasted for like a long time. Bones, the TV show.
But when you moved X-Files to Sunday, that's because they figured, okay, it's not going away. Fringe was another show, and when they were about to cancel Fringe, people rose hell over that.
Oh man,
Fringe on the air, and Fringe got to finish his story. So
I wonder why they couldn't do that with Firefly, though.
They didn't care about it. They didn't.
Well, again, with Firefly, that was just the network mishandling things, and because they didn't.
Yeah, I was looking for another show. I was looking for another show like the X-Files and the Fringe was it, and then I was just like.
But we fought for Fringe.
Come on, dude.
They wanted to.
We exactly.
Second season, I remember that campaign.
They even canceled Family Guy with his first season. Then when it did well on like home. It did well on like home video. Then
did someone say Family Guy? Hey, Lois, look, I'm on the Sci-Fi Center. Hey, Quagmire, have a look at this.
Wicked.
Oh, hey, Peter, what's going up?
Yeah, it's so funny.
Further down the hole we go.
It's me, Cleveland.
Do you regret your life choices yet, William?
What's up? Yeah, I regret this last hour.
All right, Charles. Which Terminators are canon for you? What movies?
Ooh, that's a good question.
So, Terminator.
Yeah.
You ready?
Oh yeah.
Where does it end?
Yeah,
Terminator.
Right.
And Terminator 2. Done.
The right one to me is
William at least wants that 3 in there. William at least wants the 3 in there, right?
Great having you on.
Now hold on. But let me tell you something. Because it is one of my all-time favorite franchises, even though I hate all the other. Well, let me back up. Salvation, I kind of like that one.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I like Salvation. That wasn't Salvation. Here's why I don't like 3. Here's why I don't like 3. When they had homie in the strip club with the glasses and the talk to the hand and the girl's boobs growing and the I like your gun and licking John's blood to figure out it was him. No.
Yeah,
let me tell you something. Terminator, and Arnold Schwarzenegger came out with an interview with this, but he said this perfectly. Terminator is a machine. He's not supposed to look at his hands when he's operating. When he's doing his thing, he's not supposed to look at his hand. He's not supposed to look down. He's always supposed to keep his eyes on his target unless he is damaged. That's the only time he would actually be looking at his body to repair himself. Other than that, he would not distinguish any human characteristics at all other than how he looks and that 1,000-yard stare. That's it.
You got some fans in the chat tonight, Charles.
Yeah, Charles is
just saying.
Fourth 1000 has unfortunately corrupted another one of our viewers. And
how's it sports fault that he has his own opinions? How's that work?
I didn't like 3 at first, and then when I saw Dog Fate, it kind of made me appreciate 3 more.
This is a tragedy.
Hey, Charles, let me ask you a
question.
question.
Continue with Salvation. That's what they should have done. They should have finished the Salvation trilogy, and then that's
No!
it. That you should have.
Chappie, you know how I feel about you and Salvation. I'm very happy that you like Salvation, but it's just not a good
Hey,
movie,
but you
man.
know what? The good thing is, I at least got my conclusion in comic books. I'm at least thankful for that.
Hey, Charles, can I ask you a quick question?
Wait, comic book.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think.
What do you
Doctor
think?
really
While
has
we have
had,
William
like,
here,
conclusion.
while we have William here, what do you think of Batman Beyond?
The
Oh, God.
Michelle.
what are you talking about? That animated cartoon?
Yeah.
Well, because apparently
What
had
do
one pitch
Yeah.
recently that got declined.
Not even that, Brad.
Oh,
Just the show itself. Just the show. Don't worry about the movie that's not going to be made.
Oh well, I mean, I'm really not an animated guy, so
Okay. So you got help, William. You got to help.
I
Our opinions are our own.
look. Let me. Okay. Hold on. Full disclosure. Let me go ahead and throw it out here. I'm not. I know a lot of people. I know that nostalgia brings a lot of people back, cartoon wise and all that. I'm not that dude. I don't.
Right.
I watched it when I was younger, but I don't.
Let it continue. Let it be its thing.
I
And let
don't
the
do
new
it
shit come
anymore.
out. Right.
I can't continue with it because, yeah, I can't. I mean, I watch, like when people do watch alongs and stuff like that. I watch in solidarity with all my friends and all that. I'll kick it with them and be like, yeah, let's go ahead and watch. But in general, like you'll never catch me watching an animated TV show, except, and y'all gonna think I'm crazy for this, I love Shrek. All of them. Every single one.
That's crazy.
Animated of anything of all time.
I don't think that's crazy.
Well,
I love
Shrek is
Ice.
good.
I love Ice Age. So.
I thought you were going to say Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, you like Ice Age?
Nah.
No, Powerpuff Girls is not bad though, William. Don't shit on Powerpuff
on the-
Girls.
on-
I love the storyline of Shrek. I love that entire. I love all of them.
Well,
I love Shrek. That's my animated show right there.
Okay.
My
Okay.
favorite anime movie of all time is the movie Belle. It's an anime movie, but I just love it. I think it's a masterpiece.
What is it called?
On the
Belle.
Bell.
It's a title Belle. It's an anime movie, but it's
You know what studio made it?
See,
It's
other-
The Weinstein Company.
It's a Japanese
it was-
anime movie.
Is that Brad?
See-
Other Brad in here? You've been
No,
awful quiet,
Yep,
Brad.
it's right down there, man.
I think Studio Ghibli. I think they did it. Yeah,
Okay.
they did the film.
Hear, hear me out, Charles, on the Terminator front. This is what I explained, and this is why I stop at Terminator 2.
Okay.
It's just a perfectly wrapped up situation, but
Whatever. You know what? I can only take so much.
First, 1 second we all have our own opinions. The next second you're cutting people off, right? What's the hell about?
you had Terminator 1. You had Terminator
He
1
just
where
kept
all
going.
the characters that were fighting for a future that was already they believed to be set. We have to go through these loops,
Right.
and, these hurdles to win a war that has to happen. But then you had Terminator
Right.
2, the future was not set, which put the ideas that back of the audience's hands that there's still hope for us to change as people to prevent this type of thing. And that's where it kind of ended off at. So when you go for a third
Right.
movie, you have to pick one of those two pendulum swings. And they went back to the first movie just to make more adventure generic films. And they said,
No, they had to
Terminator 2 is a waste
explain
of-
why two even happened.
Hold on.
So
They
so
said Terminator
here's
2
what they should have done. Here's what they should have done. They should have left Terminator 2 that humanity lost. That's what they should have done.
That's what they should have
So
done. They wanted
this
to
is
be
what
more.
I would have done. This
That
is
was
what
gonna
I
be
would
the
have
end.
done. Yeah. So I would have shot Terminator exactly like it is. And even if I were doing a remake, I would pretty much do a shot for shot of the first Terminator, change up a little bit of some stuff here and there, keep that same techno music, that same gritty look. I'd do that one for the first one. The second one, though, John Connor, the Terminator, his mom, they all lose. They all lose. Both Terminators die. The T-1000 and the and Arnold dies, but humanity still loses, and they drop the bomb on the second one. The third one, right? The third one then would be called Rise of the Machines. Okay, Rise of the Machines would then take place when he is doing his recruiting. He's shuffling from back and forth. He finds John Connor in 2019 or whatever it was, 2021. They meet up with General Perry. They recruit him. And then I would do a fourth movie that's called The Fall of Skynet. I would end the third movie with them finally finding the time displacement equipment, and I would end that movie right there. And then on the fourth movie, they would then formulate their attack and their plan Obviously, it's
Finally
going to
show the
loop
war.
because
Right.
they're still going to. But I would still end it. I would end the fourth movie with them sending somebody back in a bright flash of light. The end. Done. That's how I would do it.
The ending for the end of the Salvation trilogy. So,
listen, Chappie, we
Yeah.
got to stop bringing up Salvation, homie. I'm sorry, but
When he brings up Salvation, it's entertainment. It's more entertaining than the movie is when he talks about it. Chappie loves Salvation.
This is not a good whole.
I mean, it's like, you know, I'm waiting. Brad,
it was
the
the
raid.
last
Bring up the
hope that
raid.
we
Brad.
had
Bring
for
up
the
the raid.
franchise.
The raid, what
They went
what
downhill.
about the raid?
Start doing accents, Brad.
I actually
Yeah.
had a question for William though. Actually,
Go ahead.
Okay,
No, I get, but hold on, but to his point, I get why he's bringing up Salvation. But see, if you think about it, Salvation would not have existed if they hadn't opened up 3, because 2 didn't need to be opened up. So had they not, if they'd have just left 2 alone and just left it at that,
Well, do you
and not open up a 3, there would be no reason for it.
So needless to say, nobody here is a Genesis fan.
For T2, like, because remember in T2, the alternate ending that they actually stopped Judgment Day, and you see like Linda Hamilton like old and like she's in the park. Like, do you remember that or no?
Right.
They were
I remember that.
Kind of
first of all,
I got a cut of that. I got an old DVD cut of that, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I remember that. It's on there. Yeah.
Right. Before I answer RJ's question real quick, I'm going to tell you why 2 without 3 is sort of bullshit. But here's why. Because once they destroy everything that was supposed to stop everything from happening, John Connor literally doesn't exist. He disappears. He fades away. Sarah Connor is sitting in a warehouse by herself wondering, how the fuck did I get here? That's what the movie is if you don't explain things in part 3. And the way they explained it in part 3, even if you don't like the quality of the movie, you had to have that, because otherwise, once Dyson dies, once they burn all the parts and everything that was supposed to have led to Skynet, and there's still a Skynet, you know there's a Skynet, because why does Reese come back to bang Sarah Connor? Why? There's no reason. There's no existence there. So, but RJ, go ahead and ask your question before I, because
no. So it's gonna take a second for me to cook this because like it's somewhat long-winded. But it's going somewhere, right? Okay. So circling back to what you've been talking about for like God knows how long, because you get asked this all the time, right? But when it comes to like Superman Legacy, and we're talking about like audience retention, we're talking about like the general audience, right? Mm-hmm. And just like in terms of like financially. Right, because I agree with you in regards to, I think the movie's going to lose money ultimately, not because it's bad.
You really think so? You're not even going to think it's going to make a decent profit, like $400 million?
Because so let me explain. Right, I think I think that they need, like, and me and William are on the same page about this. They need to financially prepare for the fact that it's not going to turn a giant profit, if at all. Right, and we know there's a sale of Warner Brothers happening. Right. So, and here's the thing. So they've got about 2 to 3 years, right? So around that range of time. Okay. Within 2 years, they can get a lot of stuff into production, supposedly, right? And stuff will start coming out, right? Is the goal right now with the DC stuff really more so in terms of boosting the value of the brand for the potential seller to take a look at?
I think so.
Yes. The answer to that question is yes. This is a showcase. I've been saying this almost for a year now. Nobody obviously listens. This is a showcase. Okay. Right. And it's a Hail Mary. And it's a Hail Mary for whoever's going to buy it. They're saying, okay, this is what we got. If you think it's good, you're going to scoop it up when you merge or do whatever it is you're going to do with WB. Or they're going to say, nope.
Well, and that leads to the second part of that question.
Do you really think that's
the intention of it going into it?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the intention of the plan, right, is to bolster the brand of DC and increase its value for that sale. Is that
the plan is both? Right. The plan is both. The plan is to showcase DC for sure for selling to prospective buyers, but they also really do want their universe. So I don't think they're just doing it solely just to showcase. I think they want their universe. So I think that they're doing it for both reasons. Yeah.
Right. Go ahead, RJ, real quick. Go ahead and finish up because
no, you're fine. No, I was going to say, so that's the assumption that we're going to work with, and that's what it seems like they're doing, right? To embolden the brand, increase the value of it for the potential
Mhm.
buyer to see the value in it and, get it for a higher price, right? Is it possible
Exactly,
that was
because
the
if you
plan?
think about it, right, because it's already on the books that Zaslav is giving James Gunn 2 years. So here's what he's giving him 2 years to do. He's not giving him 2 years to be successful per se, because that success is going to come in whoever it is that he grabs. The old guard is gone. People like me, William, everybody else that loved the Snyderverse, they're not looking at anybody. They're not even really looking at specific DC fans. They're trying to build an all new.
You call him old.
William's about to be 87 next week while he's trying to talk. I'm still a young whippersnapper.
A whole new audience, period. For what they're coming up in the next 2 years. So basically, Zaslav is like, you got 2 years to start from scratch with your DCU to get in this new generation and bring up a whole bunch of people that don't know anything about this old stuff.
Is that being so? If that's been the plan since day one, was that already like? Do the contracts reflect that for both the actors and the executives? Because we know they're building a DC Studios lot in London that the new owners will probably inherit, and they're starting all these new contracts up again, right? Are the new owners, when they buy Warner Brothers Discovery, right? And this is the question I have for William, are they going to be buying into this plan? And are they going to be inheriting these actors and James Gunn and Peter Safran? Because they have built-in contracts they're going to be buying into.
Well, they have to anyways. Because
Hold on. No. And here's why: is because a lot of these guys are under a film contract, or in case of James Gunn, has an expiring contract. His contract will pretty much expire right around when Legacy is getting released.
What about the actors?
And all the new person has to do is not renew it. I don't know, but here's the thing though, and I think what Zaslav will have done with the brand is he will increase the potential of the name value of the brand. I think the new crew would come in, and I don't think they'll just jettison immediately everything he's done, but I think they will have an influence on it that is not going to be all James Gunn, because the new guy always thinks he can be better than the last guy.
And
his contract is up.
Keep this in mind. Yeah, keep this in mind. Universal Studios, from what I understand, they are notorious for swapping out for their own people. They are notorious for that.
Well, everyone is. Name one situation.
Right,
Well,
but I'm saying Universal. Yeah.
All right, guys. Here's the thing, though.
I was going to say before we cut off, but that's usually what it is for a lot of studios. Every time when a new head comes in, they don't want to inherit what the other person did, so they usually just dump it,
Yeah, or they transition quickly into their own thing, which would happen now. Zaslav did exactly what a lot of people don't think can happen. And it's unfortunate, too, because, like I said, I'm waiting to dive into this thing, but I don't want the water to get let out of the pool I just dove in like I did last time. I hurt my head last time. It stuck. I graduated from DCU. DC University has told me don't trust shit until shit is there. And if they're selling you a universe, sit out until they get you the universe. Because to be honest with you, last thing I want to do is go see Superman Legacy and for all of this goofy JLI characters end up loving it and then be like, okay, wait, when am I going to get this again, or am I getting part? No, we have different plans. And then I got that whole PSTD.
And it's why I mentioned the other night, if this has been because as William has said, it's very clear at this point that David Zaslav is not a fanboy at all. But it was what I mentioned the other night. It's like if this was the day one plan for the studio, writ large, it kind of makes me wonder. It's like, if I were a Gunn, I'd almost start feeling kind of used at this point.
See,
once again, like I told you before, even if you knew he was being used, you have to take the opportunity.
Go ahead, RJ.
No, so I'm saying I honestly don't think he would have signed this contract, even agree to do this job if he didn't know going into it that this was happening. That's the thing. It doesn't make sense to me because
I see.
There's no way.
Either way, how do you figure
something with him about the goal?
It's an opportunity.
What it's for.
Can you turn down that opportunity though? Even if you can't control the uncontrollables. That's a legacy position. Even if you only get 5 years in a couple of movies, we're still talking about Zack Snyder. He didn't get all of his movies. I mean, so I think, I don't know. Oh, by the way, to answer this, Rational, Disney kept Feige when they bought Marvel. Listen, all due respect, all due respect to James Gunn, and his abilities, he is nowhere near what Kevin Feige is. He knows that. Kevin Feige
exactly
is arguably one of the most successful, if not monetarily the most successful producer in Hollywood history.
Well,
and
hold
for
on,
all
though.
James
Hold on,
Gunn
though. Wait,
is
real quick though.
and God bless him, he's trying to be. He's trying to take on all this stuff. See, guys, that's what y'all don't look at. Gunn is God bless him, but he is. It's almost like he's trying to do too much to show everybody that he can do it. That is my feeling with this DC brand when he came on. It feels to me like he's trying to do way too much to show everybody. Look, see, guys, I can do it.
Well,
that's what it feels like to me.
What do you think about his?
You get the last word. What was you about to finish your point?
Okay.
RJ.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say just really quick though. They bought Marvel in 2009, I believe, and they only bought in and kept Feige after Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk. That was it. That was the only 2 movies they released at the time when they purchased Marvel and inherited those movies. So
in Marvel, they had somebody who'd been part of the machine for a long time, though. He'd been part of that machine going back to Fox. You had to know what you had at that point. I mean, and even at 2010, James, 2010 Kevin Feige is not 2024. James.
And to Charles' point too, because I remember thinking a little bit along those lines myself when the whole slate was announced and everything. It's like because Gunn being the studio co-head and overseeing Creature Commandos and Superman Legacy, thinking like, I mean, yeah, that is a lot for like one person to take on.
He's trying to prove a point he does not need to prove, and I know it's that Zack Snyder stuck up there, and no, y'all don't have to admit that, but I know that's what it is. And he's trying to prove to everybody, look, I can do this, and he's doing too much. I'm just saying.
Shareholders too. I think
is that why his slate's so sporadic?
Well, no, I think it's shareholders being
one at a time, guys.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's shareholders and Zaslav being like, we got to make up for lost time and increase the value of this property.
And they're putting him, they could be putting him under a lot of pressure, man. And I'm not saying this all because it's not just on him.
Ooh,
here it is.
You keep teleporting. Where'd you go?
Yeah, there he goes.
So I'm not just going to blame James Gunn for this. Yeah.
All right, you jumped around. I was afraid you. All right, hey, thank you guys for all being here. Thank you guys for all bringing diverse opinions. We don't have to agree. Thank you for being here and showing that we can handle. Like I said, this is my biggest fears about panels is they just go out of control. We obviously didn't do that tonight, and we continue to not do that. So I'm happy with this show.
And on that note, one last comment. Yes, Aaron, I agree.
Hey, Brad,
don't
remember you're not off the hook for your 5 scary movie marathon.
Oh, don't remind me.
$8,000 raise, baby. $8,000. Brad, you able to find that musical?
I want to say thank you guys for having me on, William. I appreciate it. Brad, everybody, it's nice meeting you guys. I look forward to doing it again if you have me.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, because I saw you actually replied to a comment I did the other day, and for some reason, Twitter said it gave that little blurb that said this might contain offensive language, and I saw it's like, yo, you didn't swear or like use like slurs or anything. So
was it the scary movie comments?
No. It was kind of what you said. It was what you said earlier tonight. It's like I'm about to turn 51, and it's like the company's exhausted me, and et cetera, et cetera. And I looked at like, yeah, what's offensive about that?
You probably had a
no. Hey, guys, you gotta look at something here that's coming down the pipe here, man. With this, this is all, and I hate to. And this has nothing to do with it. We're all geeks here, so I shouldn't be bringing this stuff up. But I'm just gonna say this: Brad is gonna get weirder. Because you know who runs Twitter, you know what this country is like right now. I'm just saying, look out for the weird stuff to continue because that's going to continue.
The weird shit is here. All right, thanks, Charles.
The weird shit is here.
Were you able to find out? Were you able to find the request that Larry had? That sent you?
Oh yeah. Let me go ahead and pull that up. And see you later, Charles. Yeah,
we're gonna wrap the show like we've been wrapping the show the last couple of.
In fact, actually, wasn't this one we played already?
Ending it early again.
Is let me
earliest 12:01 a.m. I've been up.
The show started at 9:05, William. It's supposed to be a 4-hour show.
Did you even do your review of Did you even do your review of Elimination Chamber?
Ooh, got you on your own wrestling.
It was it wasn't that great, and I was dead tired when I watched the first half with Aaron, and then I woke up.
Okay, I'm pulling it up here.
It was.
I predicted that elimination. I think we all predicted that elimination chamber.
Okay, I think we played this one the other night, but I guess it's popular, so we'll go ahead and pull it up again.
Yeah, this is the one you wanted.
Charles was definitely in charge tonight.
Charles in charge of our lives, charge of our days, and charge of our nights.
Is there part two to this?
Not that I saw. It's the.
What is this?
We played this the other night, but you said Dread the musical.
He may not have been on. He may not have been on. Go ahead and play it again.
Okay.
That was Dread in the beginning. What is this?
It's Carl Urban.
But once I put that helmet on,
that's the only time you can get him without his mask in that movie.
Joy.
It's a musical movie.
Square-jawed judge, by far my favorite role. Everyone loved me. Why haven't they sent me back to the blocks to patrol? We need to make Dread 2. It's already been too long. We are wasting the potential of this franchise, and it's wrong. Make Dread 2. It's imperative to try, or soon they'll just reboot again and cast some other guy. Mega City 1 is overflowing with scum. It's almost as bad as New Jersey. There are plenty more villains who need to be judged, and can't we do better than Cersei? We're well behind the schedule. We should be on part 3. There are follow-ups for Iron Man and Thor, so why not me? It's time to make Dread 2. I'll never let it go. You'd already have seen it, but our grosses were too low. Make Dread 2. This time will be a hit. I promise if it's greenlit, that should show a little tit. People thought my Dread was lame, and maybe that's the case. I wouldn't keep my helmet on. I like to show my face. The remake finally comes along. It's decent, I admit. It makes me realize mine was just a silly piece of shit. So let them make Dread 2. It's sure to entertain. The only thing it won't have is the lovely Diane Lane. You make Dread 2. I'm dreading Star Trek 3. So can't we make Dread 2 instead? I'll star in it for free. Make Dread 2. Make Dread 2. Dread 2.
What the fuck?
That would be fraud, Forrest. Stealing from a charity.
Yeah, I can't do
to buy
that. No, we can do our own fundraiser. Yeah, we don't want to do that. I don't want to go to jail for a white collar crime. All right, guys. Thanks for everybody who's been here. I will be on tomorrow night at 10:30, and the next time you see me after that will be right out of the theater when I go back from church, I guess, when it comes to Dune part 2. But thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody who liked and subscribed. Like, subscribe, and share. And thank you to the panel for, like I said, bringing things to the conversation that I would not be able to bring just with me and Brad. So that's always a lot of fun. And I will see you guys to wrap up the weekend tomorrow night.
Later, guys.
All right, later, everyone.
Scary movie sucks.